Chapter 22. Alana's POV. Come, Alana. You're an important part of this discussion. I was caught off guard when Daniel said that, gesturing for me to sit on the armchair, which was occupied by Carla a few minutes ago. How am I even involved in the matters of royals? What? How am I even involved in this? I raised my eyebrow, questioning him. But instead, Stefan answered my question. Don't worry, sister. We just want to know about your, friend. What was his name? Stefan was scratching his head, probably trying to remember the name. Yes, Dames. He squealed like he had just answered a world quiz competition. Dames? Who is he? Do I know anybody named Dames? It's James, you idiot. Olivia hit Stefan's head, making everyone chuckle, then looked at me. We wanted to know about him, and since you are the only one who actually has been with him, can you tell us how you know him? How did you meet him and stuff? Oh, so they want to know about James. All of them listened attentively while I talked to them about James. James was our neighbor when I started living with Uncle Aaron and Aunt Rochelle after my parents' death. He lived with his mother, who passed away when he was 16. We became close friends since childhood, and as we grew up, we started falling for each other. We declared our love for each other. Uncle and Aunt were really happy for us. I looked up at Evan, who was slowly punching the table, which no one seemed to notice. What's wrong with him? Nevertheless, I continued. Then one day, he left without any trace. It was last year. He used to be a really nice person. I don't know how he became a monster. I managed to control myself from shedding tears inside. So, this is how I know him. They all nodded and were quiet for a moment, probably thinking. Whereas Evan looked quite pissed off. He is strange. Really strange. The meeting continued. We were discussing whether I ever felt something strange about James, to which I replied honestly that I didn't. Daniel was insisting that Evan let him try to get information from James, which meant he would torture him to blurt out about his transformer. Evan said he had already done that, but the hybrid, James, wouldn't speak a word. Oh God. Evan tortured James. That means either he's compelled or sired. The former one doesn't sound believable, as only demons have the power to compel. That means, we all looked at Ariel, who stopped mid-sentence, then shook her head. He is sired to his transformer. The sire bond. In short, it's a bond between the master and his made creature. The person listens to everything said by his master, even if he doesn't want to. If the master tells the person he had turned to kill his mother, then the creature won't hesitate to do it. It happened only if the person was grateful or relied on his master. It was very hard to break the bond, and it was rare as well. I understand what James must be going through. I wonder what happened to him to make him rely on or be grateful to the person. There's no way we can break the sire bond. Daniel pulled on his hair in frustration. Even the others looked agitated. Or maybe there's a way. I can help you with the sire bond thing. We all turned around to look at the owner of the tantalizing voice. There stood a fiery ginger-haired girl with a grin on her face, her green eyes shining brightly. She was gorgeous as hell. Clara. All of them said simultaneously, excluding me and Olivia, who looked confused as to who the girl was, and Stefan, who had the same grin plastered on his face. Hi, Evie. She waved at Evan, moving towards us. Hello, Daniel and Ariel. She greeted them. They all looked like they had just seen a ghost. Evie? I felt like laughing. Funny nickname. Hey, Steph, thank you for inviting me. I missed you. She squealed and hugged Stefan, who hugged her back. Missed you too, sweetie. Olivia looked confused and irritated by Clara's closeness with Stefan. At the same time, Evan's eyes went wide as saucers, followed by Daniel and Ariel, who still looked shocked. You knew where she was, Stefan? And you didn't bother to tell me? For heaven's sake, it's been a freaking 100 years. Evan yelled, making us all flinch, and glared at Stefan. Don't you dare glare at my little brother, Evie. I said to him not to tell you about my location, okay? Clara stood in front of Stefan, crossing her arms over her chest. I really like the way she says, Evie. That accent. But wait, brother? Evan and Stefan have a sister? I didn't ask you, Clara. Do not interrupt. He gave an icy look to her before he transfixed his gaze back at Stefan for answers. Clara stomped her foot, mouthing jerk, but didn't say anything. Stefan was scratching his head while everyone in the room had their attention on him, including mine. He looked around at everyone and then sighed heavily. Okay, fine. You sincerely can't expect a poor vampire like me to deny a witch's wish, let alone a 500-year-old ancient witch, can you? He was being so dramatic, stomping his foot, walking around, whining like a child. Damn. This was getting chaotic. Initially, it is not yet confirmed whether these two have a sister. Okay, I assumed. Second, what's with the location and Stefan not telling about it? And 100 years? Pretty confusing. Last, Clara was a freaking ancient witch who was 500 years old. I mean, she looked pretty young, 20 or 21. She was older than both Evan and Stefan. I remember once asking Stefan how old he was. He said that he was 350 years old and Evan was 436 years old. How do you both know her, Evan and Stefan? Olivia's curious question got me back on track. Even Daniel and Ariel looked as if they had the same question. Oops. I had the same question as well. Thanks, Olivia. Stefan and Clara looked at each other, grinning like idiots, and even Evan was trying to contain his grin. Well, ladies and gentlemen. Stefan stood in front of everyone, clearing his throat like those anchors in an opera. Clara, here is our cousin sister and Evan's best friend, right, Evie? We all chuckled when Stefan tried to mimic Clara. Wow. You mean the most powerful witch in existence is your sister? But a witch as in a vampire's cousin. I mean, isn't she supposed to be a vampire? God. She's a royal as well. Daniil's eyes widened as realization hit him. Her father, my uncle who was a vampire, married a witch, my aunt. Since only one species is acceptable by nature, Clara turned out to be a witch like her mother. Evan explained. Well, all of us just did an O in approval. Now, if you're done, can I do the work I am here for? We looked at Clara like she had grown two heads. What? Forgot? I am here to break the sire bond. So, where's the hybrid? We all did an O again before Evan stood up and walked to the door. Let's go to the dungeon. Chapter 23. The pungent smell of blood, accompanied by various sorts of growls and screams of agony, was the first thing that made the very soul of me shrink when we entered the dungeons. I know James had turned into a monster, but it didn't change the fact that once, he was one of the people whom I had cared so much. The boys had to stay out because Clara didn't want any distraction while she was doing the spell to break the sire bond, more like she didn't wish Evan to scare James, making the chances of her spell breaking and causing the bond to become much stronger. Stefan and Daniel wanted to come, but had to stay at Clara's insistence to look after Evan so that he wouldn't go after us. After a lot of tantrums, all three agreed to stay, and Olivia accompanied me and Clara to the dungeons. Why was I here? Well, because I was the only person who had memories of James. My job was to remind James about his past, which would make the spell easier. Olivia was there to inquire about the creator once the bond breaks and back up, since the guys weren't coming with us and Olivia was just stronger than any normal vampire. In case the hybrid breaks loose, then we would be in trouble. Even though Clara was a witch, she couldn't do anything instantly. It takes time to read a spell. I entered James' cellar with Clara while Olivia stood at its farther corner looking at us. He was rattling the chains in an effort to break them, even though it was cutting into his wrists, but then healing at the same time. His movement stopped the moment he saw me. His eyes flickered between me, Clara, and Olivia. Look, hybrid, Clara stood in front of James. I am gonna break your sire bond and free you. So, I want you to behave. How long will it take? Olivia inquired out of the corner. Just a matter of minutes. Let's start now, shall we? Clara looked at both of us for assurance, and we instinctively nodded. Let's get this over with, then I have got many questions to ask you, James. Clara placed her palms on either side of James' head as she closed her eyes, chanting some spells which sounded gibberish to me. James was jerking, trying to break free. He looked murderously at Clara. Suddenly, her eyes snapped open. Alana, I need you to make him remember about his past life. Hold my hand and imagine your moments together. Removing her left hand from James' temple, she extended it for me to hold. But the moment she held my hand, she stared at it with wide eyes. It was then that I noticed, when I looked down at my hand, a tattoo lying on my wrist that looked like an eagle with a cross-marked chain around its neck. What kind of a tattoo is that? I have never seen it before in my hand. Hell, how did it even end up on my wrist? We heard a loud growl snapping us out of our trance. Clara shook her head and smiled at me before continuing her spell. Ignoring the strange tattoo, I did as she said, reminiscing about the moments James and I shared from childhood. The moments when we used to run in the fields chasing each other, when our hatred for numbers caused us to throw the curry on Mr. Mars, our maths teacher, when we confessed that we actually loved each other more than friends. I know, that's strange, but it was one of the best memories for both of us. It seems like it's no longer as important to me, not because he's a hybrid, it's just that the attraction I had for him seems to have faded away to the back of my mind. After a lot of growling and struggling, James seemed to calm down as Clara stopped chanting and looked at me with a Cheshire grin. It's done. The moment she said that, I felt a gush of air. The next thing I knew, Evan stood in front of James with Daniel. Stefan was standing beside Olivia, annoying her, much to her disdain. Just one thing I told you guys to do was to stay out and you're still here. Clara glared at the trio. Well, that applies till you're chanting the spell. Now that it's done, we're free. Stefan grinned slyly out of the corner. Clara flared her nostrils, the glare still intact. She was muttering something incoherent. Suppose smoke could actually come out of a person's ears. What would her situation be? I chuckled at the thought, shaking my head. For heaven's sake. This isn't a time and place to laugh. Who turned you? I flinched at the high-pitched voice of Evan. His beautiful eyes looked so dangerous. Turned? What are you speaking, man? And why am I here, like this? James clinked the chains, looking completely confused and a bit pissed off, then his eyes set on me. Alana? Is that you? What? Before he could ask any more questions, Clara pushed Evan aside and walked towards James in big, fast strides. Holy macaroons. You idiots, I told you not to enter this place. I should have cast a spell to trap you there. Look, he's forgetting his memories. She looked at Evan, Daniel, and Stefan like she was going to chop their heads off before we heard a low grunting sound which turned into a loud, painful groan. I remember, the witch, she did something to make me forget about that woman, James said, holding his head tight as he began to remember fragments of his memories. Evan had opened his chain when he was grunting. Clara bent down to where James was sitting. She released his hands from his head, replacing them with her own. The next thing I knew, a bright red light was emanating from her palms. When she opened her eyes, her irises glowed silver, then turned white, and even the black parts of her eyes turned white. It appeared as if she was mind-linking or something had possessed her. After a few moments of deathly silence, she blinked and got up. Taking a long breath, she spoke. So, I just got inside his head and, it seems like a nasty witch has fogged some of his memories. The things he remembers is everything we know, his transformation, attacking the queen except one thing, someone's helped him get into the masquerade ball. Though I can't see the face, I can say it's a woman wearing dark, close-fitting clothes. All of us were in deep thought when an alarm rang in my head. God, how could I even forget that? I should have said it earlier. It's never too late. Geisel. Everyone snapped their heads in my direction. When I was returning back from the washroom in the party, I heard Geisel speaking to a lady in the dark corridors about bringing someone in the party who would cause harm to the people. I couldn't see the lady's face due to Evan dragging me out of there before I could get a glance. I stated everything in one single breath. I shouldn't have mentioned Evan, but it seemed like he didn't feel offended or angry. I guess I didn't mess up this time. Are you sure? Evan asked, moving towards me. I nodded. Let me see how this Geisel girl looks. Clara's statement was cut short as she collapsed on the floor, making us all shocked. Clara. Stefan and Evan were now in front of her unconscious body, lying on the ground. That spell still extinguishes her whole energy. Daniel came in and scooped Clara in his arms. exiting the cellar with all of us trailing behind him, along with James, who walked in the middle of Stefan and Olivia, who were looking at him with calculating gazes. Evan's POV. After Daniel laid Clara on the bed, he exited the room, leaving me to look after her in case she woke up. I looked at her sleeping form, and a smile made its way to my face as I watched her punch the air, trying to hit the imaginary beings in her dreams. She didn't change. My adorable sister was still the same, just a bit mature now. Clara's father was my mother's elder brother. He and his wife used to manage the kingdom with my father. They died protecting my parents when someone killed them. Clara was all alone at that time, so Stefan and I decided to bring her into the mansion once she recovered from the grief of her parents' loss. I still remember the time when she was here. She was noisy since birth. When she stayed here, it seemed like the mansion was full of her voice. She stayed with us for a century before she met her soulmate, Jacob. I balled my fists at his thought. It wasn't like I hated him or something, it's just that the fact that she eloped, abandoning me for him, made me angry. Jacob was a wizard just like Clara. He was a good and trustworthy man. I wouldn't have been angry if she had just told me that she wanted to marry him. I would have accepted him. I heard the shuffling of blankets, which made my attention snap at Clara, who was trying to get up, but to no avail, as she fell back on the bed. The spell she cast to look into someone's memories takes a lot of energy. The last I remember, she used the spell, and she was asleep the whole day. Well, she's improving, I see. Sit, Clara. We'll talk if you're bored, I said to her, and a scowl formed on her face. Nevertheless, she agreed to rest as she rested her back on the headboard. Since she wasn't saying anything, I asked the very question I wanted to ask since she left. Why did you elope a century ago? I looked at her as she leaned back, closing her eyes. I thought you would get angry at me for marrying a common man, but I was wrong. Stefan told me that you wouldn't mind. The time I realized, it was too late and things got so much messed up. She inhaled a long breath before continuing. Jacob's death and then me losing my child when I was still in labor. I was so depressed, Evie. But then I handled myself, even Stefan consoled me. So, I am fine now and back to track. She smiled even though it didn't reach her eyes. I am sorry, I wasn't there for you, I replied, feeling bad for her. It's okay. It wasn't your fault. You behaved like any brother would do. I was still processing the information I got. I didn't know Jacob died. Clara lost her child. It must have been so heart-shattering for her. And here I was, blaming her for abandoning me and Stefan when it was all the way around. Evie, you didn't tell me you found your mate. She squealed. All of a sudden, her demeanor changed into excitement. Mate? I didn't find the girl with the mate mark, Clara. I sighed. My mate. Yeah, my mate who has a mark on her hand, who can make me control my powers, who I haven't found in my 436 years of existence. I possess some powers that can be destructive when I lose control. The only person who could help me control my powers would be the woman with that mark, my soulmate. All the firstborn royal sons have a soulmate, whether they are vampires or werewolves. I think Daniel will have his as well. But mine, she doesn't exist. That mark isn't visible, you idiot. Except if you're a witch. She looked at me with disbelief, then widened her eyes. Don't tell me you don't know. What? I was still confused. The mark was supposed to be visible, or that is what I thought. Alana is your soulmate. Chapter 24. I stared wide-eyed at Clara as those words escaped past her lips. Alana's my mate? I know, I have always had those feelings for her, which I have never felt for anyone else. I liked it when she smiled, laughed. Even when she was angry at me, she looked beyond cute. The way she makes me want to tease her. The way her heartbeat quickens the moment I get closer. All of it, I liked all of those feelings. But I have never in my dreams thought she was my soulmate. She made me like her so much that I forgot about my soulmate, or I clearly ignored the fact that my mate did exist. At this moment, I was beyond happy. Many emotions are swirling in my mind at the thought of her being my mate. Wasn't she supposed to have the mark on her wrist just like mine? Clara said it isn't visible. Damn. Even mine isn't visible, so how could I possibly wander around looking for the mark? I felt so stupid for searching for the girl with the mark for centuries. Anyway, I am so happy that I can forget about all that time and dance under the starry sky with Alana in my arms. Wait, did she feel the same way I think? I wouldn't force her to be with me if she didn't. I would let her make her decision. The thought of her being away made me upset. I didn't want that to happen. I was so engrossed in my thoughts that I didn't even notice Clara clumsily getting up from the bed, trying to keep herself from falling. She was now in front of me, waving her hand in the air, trying to catch my attention, but to no avail. Snap out of it, man. She snapped her fingers, successfully getting me out of my trance. Really now? Do I need to tell you every single thing? I looked up at her, still confused as to what she wanted to tell. She sighed, shaking her head. Get yourself off the couch and go tell Alana that you love her. Now don't deny it. I know you do. She gave me an encouraging smile. Did I love her? Hell, I did. Without wasting any more seconds, I got up to go where Alana is before placing a kiss on Clara's cheek, muttering a thank you. She just chuckled at my excitement. I walked past many servants as I walked through the corridors. Suddenly, the corridors seemed so long. Where would she be? I bumped into Daniel on my way, who just grinned jaw to jaw, giving me an I know everything look. Daniel was one of my best friends after Clara, of course. Even though the new queen wasn't the sort of person who liked befriending vampires, the former queen, Daniel's birth mother, never discriminated between different species, and I am glad about it. He and I used to hang out together before my parents' death. Then things got chaotic, and I became all to myself, trying to control my powers. I know Daniel is kind of a flirty person. Not really, but he cares about us, Stefan, Clara, and me, even if we are not werewolves. Where's Alana? I asked, knowing he would surely know. He's been hanging out a lot around her nowadays. I will have to tell him not to play around with her. I narrowed my eyes at him. He shrugged, knowing that I already have the acknowledgement that he exactly knows where she is. Chill, dude. Don't get jealous. She's all yours. He shrugged yet again, the million-dollar grin still intact. I raised an eyebrow, realizing why he was grinning like an idiot. You heard. I started crossing my arms. Come on. I was just passing by and just wanted to know who your mate was. I didn't intend to eavesdrop, okay? Now don't lecture me on manners and stuff. He whined, scratching his neck. After a moment of awkward silence, we both laughed at the situation. Then he told me that Alana was in the garden and wished me luck. He actually heard every single thing. Cool breeze of winter brushed past me, causing my already messy hair to fall on my forehead. I was in the garden where Alana is supposed to be, according to Daniel. A smile formed on my face as I found her gazing at the stars, hugging herself against the cold air. I ran in my vampire speed to stand behind her. She shuddered at the gush of air and turned to look at me straight in the eyes with those baby blue orbs. I didn't know why, but she looked worried. Should I tell her now? I think I am just making up things to avoid telling her about my feelings. Shrugging, I decided to say what I had intended to. I would tell her about my feelings for her first before dropping the soulmate bomb. If she doesn't return the feelings, then I will not tell her about the soulmate bond. I don't want her to comply with her feelings just because of the bond. Alana, I wanted to tell you something. I started. Without saying anything, she nodded for me to continue. I took her hand and intertwined our fingers, much to her surprise. Taking a deep breath, I began. The first time I met you, you were so fierce and funny about to drag a stake through my heart, thinking I was some crazed vampire trying to attack humans. I smiled at the memory, so did she. Ever since, all I have thought is about you. I even offered you a job in my mansion so that you could be near me. You used to argue with me for every single thing, glare at me with your beautiful eyes. But still, I found you fascinating. With every passing day, I fell more and more for you. I wanted to be the one to make you smile. I wanted to take away every sorrow of your life. I wanted to see you happy always. I paused to let her take in my words before I uttered those 3 magical words. I love you, Alana. I confessed with all my heart. She bit on her lower lip, her eyes turning glossy. And the next moment I knew, tears were flowing down her cheeks effortlessly. I felt myself panic looking at her sobbing. She untangled her hands from mine, reluctantly stepping back. I stepped ahead, but she took a step back. I tried to wipe her tears, but she shook her head. Oh no. Did I say something wrong? I shouldn't have confessed. It was my fault that she was crying. I messed up everything. But why was she crying? I was so confused. I looked at her as she wiped her tears from her long sleeves and looked at me with glassy eyes, trying to control her tears from falling back. After many attempts to say something as words didn't seem to come out of her, she at last spoke. Did you kill my parents, Evan? And I stilled. Chapter 25. Alana's POV. The winter air raised goosebumps on my skin as I walked in the garden. These 2 days have been hectic. The return of James, being a hybrid, someone plotting something big, the return of Clara, James' lost memory, and so much more. I am really exhausted by all these things. Hey, beautiful. What are you doing? I turned around to look at Daniel, who was grinning even in these horrid situations. He approached me and joined me for the walk by walking beside me. Just thinking. There's so much happening. I sighed, by the way. Why didn't you include the Queen when you wanted to interrogate James? That question had been stuck in my mind since the secret meeting. I was totally confused as to why they all went through the whole James and interrogation process without the Queen's knowledge. Danny started scratching the back of his neck as he replied, you see, the Queen took the whole hybrid attack situation leniently, even though she was the one who was attacked, which made Evan and me both suspicious. She isn't taking the problem seriously, but it is serious. Someone creating a hybrid and letting it out to kill was extraordinary. Even if there are hybrids, they don't show themselves because it might result in their death. And then the whole Sirebond thing makes it more chaotic. Someone's planning something big against us. So, we thought it would be better if we reached the root of this problem first before informing the Queen. Okay, that was one big explanation. I didn't expect Danny to reveal so much, but then it's not like I am not already included in all of this secret plan. The Queen actually gave me weird vibes, but I didn't know others were suspicious as well. Thinking about that Queen gave me chills for some unknown reason. So where's Ariel? I asked, trying to change the subject. I haven't seen her since the discussion in the study. She wasn't even present during Clara's little magic show when we were in the dungeon with James. She's resting in the guest room. I sent her there before we, went to the dungeons. Didn't want my sister to get involved in any sort of danger. He retorted. I nodded, understanding his concern. So, what's going on with you and Evan? He asked, wiggling his eyebrows, making me snap my head in his direction. And Evan? Nothing is going on, Danny. I couldn't hide the tint of pink occurring on my cheeks. Ugh, what's wrong with me? It's not like there's actually something going on between Evan and me. Maybe? Come on. The way he looks at you, it tells it all, dearie. Well, did you guys kiss? He raised his perfectly shaped brow with a smirk evident on his face. The time when Evan kissed me played in my mind, bringing back those strange feelings I had for him. Suppose my face could be any redder. It would be now. I didn't expect Danny to be so open-minded. You did. He squealed. Shut up, Danny. I placed my palms on his mouth to shut him up. By his high-pitched voice, I guess the whole mansion must have heard. I wish not. My efforts went in vain as he shoved my hand to speak again. Wow, this is amazing. I will go inform Clara. She'll be excited to know, he said before running inside the mansion. I couldn't even stop him. These supernaturals are so damn fast. I don't want Danny to tell everyone about. Screw that. I tried to stop thinking about Evan, but it seems impossible. After thousands of attempts to think of something else, like peanuts, cakes, or anything, which all went in vain, I decided to head back to the mansion to catch some sleep. It was a tiring day after all. Going somewhere, Evan's little mate? I stopped in my tracks, immediately recognizing the voice. Anger was bubbling inside me as I spat at her. What do you mean by Evan's mate, Giselle? I don't even know why I asked that. I should have asked who the woman was she was talking to at the ball, or what she was plotting. Hell, I should have asked why she was even present here. But that question just slipped off my tongue like I didn't have any control. Why did she call me Evan's mate? Werewolves have mates. Not vampires, right? I snapped out of my thoughts when she started laughing. You don't know? Well, let me tell you a little secret, sweetheart. She moved to stand in front of me. Now that I noticed, her eyes were completely white, like she had been possessed, and even her voice was strangely different from her normal voice. More like the voice of that woman from the ball. Nevertheless, she continued, you're a part of the royal prophecy predicted by the ultimate queen, which is to happen after 200 years. Not that I care. After all, it's nothing of my concern. It's just that you and Evan are one of the 3 pairs. The others are Clara and Jacob and Daniel and his future mate. Poor Clara thinks her mate is dead though. Why the hell am I explaining this now? She looked annoyed. Just know that you're Evan's only weak point, and I want your help, she stated finally. I was still confused about what she had just said. Mate. Prophecy. Ultimate queen. One of 3 pairs. Who does she mean by the ultimate queen? Who is she? Was there someone mightier than Evan and the werewolf queen? Anne. Clara had a mate whom she supposedly thinks is dead. Is he dead or not? My mind was in a frenzy. I needed answers, but I first focused on what I needed to say. Why do you think I would help you? I crossed my arms over my chest. And how do you know about the whole me being Evan's mate thing or whatever it means? I know everything. It's none of your concern. And about why you would help me. A smirk made its way to her lips. Evan is the one who killed your parents. Everything sounded faint after that as my thoughts drifted to what she said. Evan is the one who killed your parents. That couldn't be true. She has to be lying. She is lying. But when I think back about the way Evan killed Marie, just like the way that mysterious vampire killed my parents, I can't help but think maybe she is right. I recall a day when Stefan told me that there was a time when Evan lost control and went on a killing spree due to his powers. How much I didn't want to, it all made sense. But I wouldn't show that to Giselle. My throat felt constricted, but I managed to speak. You're lying. She chuckled. Please don't deny it. You know it might be true. To confirm, please ask Evan about it and observe his behavior after that. You'll come to know. He knows all about it. She stopped talking as her ears perked up. I guess it's time for me to go. I will see you soon. She started to leave, but stopped midway. Oh yeah, you can't tell anyone about our little conversation. With that, she splashed something on my face, which seemed like mud, and disappeared. I couldn't even stop her. My mind swirled with the possibilities of Evan being my parents' murderer. Chapter 26. I love you, Alana. My eyes were pooling with unshed tears. This wasn't what I was expecting. I am aware that I felt connected to him. Whenever he came near, my heartbeat quickened like some alien creature. His touch gave me weird feelings. I was attracted to him. But, love? Do I love him? I don't know. I looked up at him. His eyes carried so much sincerity, the image of my parents being drained flashed in my head. Were these the same eyes which saw my parents' death? I freed my hands from his hold and moved backwards. Why was this so hard? Why couldn't I ask him? The tears which I have been holding back betrayed me and flowed down my face. Alana, stop crying. You can't show him your vulnerability. I shook my head vigorously and wiped my eyes with the back of my palms. I asked for one thing that might change many things between us. Did you kill my parents, Evan? He visibly stilled, and his eyes went wide. He didn't move, just stared at me. Evan's eyes held so many emotions which I couldn't quite decipher. This was all I needed to confirm. Though he didn't respond, I already knew the answer. Look, Alana. I can explain. He moved towards me. I shook my head. Tears flowed down my face as I ran into the mansion. I ran past Stefan and Olivia, who kept asking what happened. Even Evan was calling my name. But I didn't care. I just ran to my room, shut the door behind me, and sat down leaning on the door. I heard someone knock, but I didn't respond. I sobbed, bringing my knees to my chest, and leaned my head on them. Alana, please listen to me. I can explain. Evan said from the other side of the door. What was he going to explain? How did he kill my parents? Anger started boiling inside me. Still, I didn't respond. Let him get the silent treatment. But he continued. That day I lost my control. All I wanted to do was kill. If I stayed here, I would have ended up killing every person in the mansion, even Stefan. So I ran away from the mansion to the restricted forest where no one resides except wild animals. I didn't know people stayed there, Alana. I didn't know. His voice held so much sadness that at that moment, I didn't care what he did. I just wanted to comfort him, but refrained from doing so and let him continue. Your father was exiting the house, bidding farewell to your mom. But all I heard was the blood flowing through his veins. When he came out, I killed him. How much pain my father must have gone through when those fangs sank into his neck. I balled my fists at the thought. Your mother heard your father's scream. She came out to check your father, but I killed her as well. I am so sorry. I know my apologies won't change the past, but I want you to know that I am sorry. I was so blinded by the urge. It was my fault. I lost control. I am sorry. I sobbed my heart out. My parents didn't deserve that kind of death. They were the kindest soul. They were the best parents. Evan kept muttering sorry. I didn't want to hear his voice. Not now. Evan, go. I knew he was still there. Please. I sounded so vulnerable. This isn't me. Father has always told me to stay strong. At least I could do that. I got up, wiping my eyes. I guess Evan went because the sounds coming from the other side of the door stopped, leaving silence for me to think over everything. I stood in front of the mirror and looked at the girl who looked back at me. Her eyes were puffy and red. Her hair looked like one of the ghosts. And she looked so sad. I stared at that girl. How could she be attracted to the person who killed her parents? How could she stay under the same roof with her parents' murderer? Will her parents forgive her for that? Will her parents forgive her for not avenging their deaths? Suddenly, I caught sight of a silhouette looming over the window. It was flying in the air outside the closed windows. My eyes widened. Who could that be? I picked up one of the heavy artifacts and moved over to the window with cautious steps. As I approached the window, my eyes widened as I recognized the person. What is she doing here? And how the hell was she able to fly like that? I opened the window and Giselle entered immediately. What the? Why the hell did you come back? And how were you able to freaking fly? I yelled. Silence, human. You might alarm everyone. I am not here to answer your questions. Giselle replied in her shrilly voice. For some reason, this time it sounded like her own voice instead of the woman's voice I had heard earlier. By the way, I came here to give this. She extended her palms, revealing a small glass bottle filled with a strange, green-colored liquid. What is it? I asked, being cautious. I wasn't buying any of her lies. She did tell the truth last time. Still, she's Giselle, a difficult person for heaven's sake. This a truth elixir. It will help you make Evan confess the truth about killing your parents. Add this in Evan's drink. Remember, he shouldn't have the knowledge about it. She gazed me up and down and made a disgusted face. What's wrong with her? What makes her think I will do as she says? I am not taking it. Besides, Evan already told me why he killed my parents. So you can get out, or I can gladly call someone to escort you. I crossed my arms over my chest with a fake, sincere smile. God, what did he see in you? She frowned. It's your choice whether you want to use it or not. Who knows, he might not have told you the exact truth. I will just leave this for you. She placed the tiny glass bottle on the desk. Walking towards the window, she turned around and smirked. About revealing to others about me. I am sure you won't be able to do that. Her smirk widened, and for the second time, she threw some mud-like thing on my face. I shut my eyes. When I opened them, she was nowhere. I picked the bottle with the weird green liquid from the desk. What will I do with this? Will I use it? Chapter 27. I squirmed and tossed in my bed, trying to gain some sleep. My head was in turmoil. My emotions were on a roller coaster. Hell, I wasn't even functioning properly. Sleep was the last thing on my mind. I thought about everything that happened today. From the party to Evan's confession, and then to add fuel to the already horrible day, Evan turned out to be the cause of my parents' death. I am glad that at least he said the truth instead of hiding or lying. But did he tell me the exact truth? Did he hide something? I shouldn't let Giselle's words stain my mind. She could be lying. My thoughts were interrupted by the sound of the door creaking. I kept my eyes shut when I felt the bed dip beside me as someone lay there and started stroking my face. As soon as he touched my face, I knew who it was due to the electric sensation I felt. I am sorry, Alana. I didn't mean to hurt you, but I couldn't tell you the truth. You would have broken down. I couldn't see you like that. It's fine if I am bad in your eyes, as long as you don't hate me. It's not his fault. He didn't intend to do it, I know that. And I also know I can't see you both hurt. He continued caressing my face, gently placing a kiss on my forehead. I am sorry, he muttered, pulling me closer to him by my waist. Sure, he thinks I am asleep. Maybe he planned to go before I woke up. But I am not sleeping. And that is the problem. Even though whatever he did, I wanted to hug him back. Tell him it's okay. How can I not melt in his words? He actually didn't tell the truth. But what does he mean by, it's fine if I am bad in your eyes until you don't hate him? Hate who? I wanted to ask what he meant. Before I could do that, I heard his slow snores. I opened my eyes slowly to see his beautiful face close to mine, deep in slumber. His thick brows shadowed his face, making him look so angelic. How could he fall asleep so fast? Not that I'm complaining. He did tell me the truth, even though it wasn't entirely accurate, according to him. He did regret his actions. Everyone should get a chance. Will my parents be happy with my decision? Dad and Mom always told us to give someone a chance who truly regrets something so that they can avoid repeating the mistake and have another opportunity to live life. Would they provide a chance for the one who killed them? Maybe. Could I forgive him? I don't know. I smiled, hearing Evan's slow snores as I removed his arm from my waist and stood up to throw that damn liquid Giselle gave me. He frowned at first, then returned to his peaceful slumber. Maybe he's too tired, or else he's always so alert about his surroundings. I wasn't going to use the truth elixir. No matter what. I will ask Evan to confess the actual truth by myself. And if he does, maybe I'll forgive him as well. I walked to the desk and picked up the tiny glass bottle. Before I could even open its door, it led to throwing the contents out the window. Someone pulled me out of the room so fast that my feet barely reached the ground. All I saw around was blurred till my supposed abductor, and I halted on the terrace. Olivia pushed me abruptly to stand in front of her so that I almost tripped. She looked beyond livid. What the hell is wrong with her? Before I could ask, she yelled, "What do you think you were doing, Alana? Do you know it is a poison that could paralyze a pureblood vampire for at least a week?" She asked, pointing to the bottle in my hand. My eyes widened as her words sank into my head. I looked down at the tiny container. It's strange, not even a single drop of the liquid fell as Olivia rushed me here. The liquid inside it was poison. God, I was so dumb to believe Giselle. How did I forget she was in the opposing team? What if I had fed it to Evan? No. 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 How stupid I am. You can't do that to Evan, Alana. You can't hurt him. He isn't our parents' murderer. He isn't, she said, water starting to pool in her eyes. I heard your conversation while you ran into the room. He lied to you. He didn't kill them. I looked at her, shocked. I wanted to tell her I didn't intend to give the damn liquid to Evan. But what she was saying was shocking. Water trickled down her face as she said the following words, which made me freeze in my spot. Stefan killed them. Chapter 28. Stefan killed them. I stared at Olivia, not able to comprehend what she was trying to say. Why would Stefan kill someone? He doesn't have any power control issues like Evan. That couldn't be true. He's my brother. He won't do that. I know him well. However childish he might be, he never hurts innocent people. I thought Olivia liked him. Then why would she accuse him of such a crime? I scanned Olivia's face for any sign of a joke, but she looked deadly serious, which had my hands shivering. No. 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 That can't be true. My voice was barely above a whisper, but she must have heard very well. I am telling you the truth, Alana. Believe it or not. I saw him that day. She replied, trying to reach me. I took a step back. How did she see him? No one was present that day except my parents, me, and the two vampires. Could she be the other vampire? How? How do you know all this? She stopped and opened her mouth, then closed it. It seemed like she was trying to say something, but couldn't. At last she spoke. I am your small sister, Olivia. The sister who disappeared years ago. The sister who you thought was dead for the last 12 years. She looked at me, and tears flooded her eyes. I am sorry. That day, Mom and I heard Dad scream. Mom told me to stay inside while she checked what was wrong. I didn't comply with her request and slowly eavesdropped on the horrid scene that took place. Stefan was holding Mom by her neck while Father lay dead on the ground, blood near the 2 marks on his neck. Even though she was going to die, her attention and concern were on me, Alana. She told me through signs to run away. I shook my head. I couldn't leave my mother to die. But when he bit my mom's neck and I heard you scream, I was scared. I didn't know what to do, so I ran away. I didn't even take you along, I just ran away. Who does that to their own sister? I am sorry. I thought you were dead, just like you thought about me. Tears flowed effortlessly from her eyes as her gaze was fixed on the ground. I looked at my sister with teary eyes. Indeed, she would be the only one who must have witnessed the whole scene unfold in front of her innocent little eyes. I wanted to comfort my sister. I didn't know the little Ollie I thought was dead was with me all along. If she already knew Stefan was the one who killed our parents, though my heart still doesn't believe it, then why did she stay with him all these years in the same mansion? My unasked question was answered as she spoke further. I wandered in the streets for days without food before Evan found me and brought me here. I was thankful to him. I planned on staying here till I was of age to earn because Evan asked me to. But the day I saw Stefan and realized he was Evan's brother, my intention changed. All I wanted was revenge. I wanted to hurt him just like he hurt my family. She looked up at me. I nodded for her to continue with a small smile of encouragement. I knew there was more to the story. I trained myself. I worked hard day and night. I don't know how, but I could feel an unexplainable power inside me. I was too strong for a normal human. Then I defeated the head guard and secured a prominent position in the Empire, becoming the head guard myself. But all along, my main motive was crushed. As I grew up, I came to know Stefan well. And you know what? He wasn't even a tad bit of a person I had expected him to be. He was sweet, funny, and helpful to others. I thought it was all just a cover-up to hide his sins, but I knew it wasn't, and I was slowly falling for him. And when the time came to take revenge, I couldn't. I couldn't hurt him. I started to hate myself for falling for my parents' killer. I began to fight with him intentionally, but you know Stefan. She chuckled despite the rolling tears. For him, fighting is showcasing his idiocy. I chuckled along with her. She was right. Stefan was always a kid. No matter what, deep in my heart, I have a feeling that he isn't responsible for any of this. Knowing Evan was the one who killed my parents shook me to the core, but Stefan, I could never even imagine it. He's the most adorable brother I have. How could I possibly think he could kill someone innocent? Now it all made sense. Evan lied about him killing my parents because he didn't want me to hate Stefan, even if I ended up hating him. Stefan is lucky to have a brother like Evan. God, I hate myself for even thinking of hating him when all he was doing was taking his brother's blame on himself so that I didn't hate his brother. Still, there's a question. When did you realize I was your sister, Ollie? She smiled before replying. I knew it the day you came. When you told your name, I was so happy and surprised that you were alive. Though, I had doubt which you cleared when you said you had a sister who according to you died years ago. I wanted to say that your sister wasn't dead. She was just in front of your eyes. But I couldn't. What would I say? Why was I here? For revenge. You would have hated me. Can't believe it. She still assumes a lot in her little brain. I would never hate you, Olivia. You're my sister, for heaven's sake. I would never judge you. You're my little sister. But revenge isn't what our parents thought. They taught us to forgive no matter what. I am sorry I wasn't there for you when you needed me. I gave her a sad smile, reminding her of our parents' words. She nodded and hugged me, muttering, "Love you." I hugged her back. How much I missed my little sister. We back off with broad smiles on our faces. We talked for a while before I decided to take a walk on my own. I am just going out for a walk. Gotta clear my mind. I informed Olivia, turned around and started walking out of the mansion towards the forest. She didn't question me about whether I was happy. The guards at the gates hesitated to let me out for some reason. But when I glared at them, they let me go. I know I was a little harsh, but I really needed to get out and think straight. I strolled in the forest for an hour, thinking over Olivia's words. I have always felt a strange connection with Olivia, but I never expected her to be my little sister, whom I thought was dead years ago. The truth about Stefan was very shocking. I don't know, but for some reason I still can't accept it. And then, Olivia confessed that she liked Stefan. Sorry, fell for him. She loved him. Oh God. Olivia loves Stefan. Though she's trying to make herself hate Stefan, and he hates her. I don't really understand why she's doing that. I mean, our parents would always choose our happiness over anything, even revenge. I have to talk to her about this. Deciding to return to the mansion, I turned only to be obstructed by an invisible barrier, due to which I wasn't able to move ahead. What the hell? Why am I not able to move ahead? I muttered, trying hard to break through the invisible wall. Did I forget to mention I would be meeting you soon? Oh, I did. Well, hello again, Evan's little mate. I snapped my head to the source of the sound. Not again. What's wrong with you, Giselle? Why are you stalking me? And why am I not able to move? Well. One question at a time, darling. She purred. About your answers, nothing's wrong with me, neither am I stalking you, and about why you can't move, that's because you're trapped in a witch circle. She pointed to the ground. When I sat down, I understood what she meant. I was standing inside a giant black-colored circle, and now that I observe, I am not able to move out of the damn witch circle or whatever it meant. I raised my head to ask her why I wasn't able to move out of the circle, but instead, I saw various women dressed in black from head to toe surrounding me, chanting some incoherent words. Giselle stood midst them, smirking at me and mouthed a goodbye. Before I could ask what was happening, my head began to feel dizzy, and everything around me looked blurry. Then, I collapsed to the ground. Chapter 29. My eyes adjust to the sparse candlelight at the farther end of this shady place I am in, a place which smelled like rotting flesh. My eyes widened as the realization dawned on me, making me sit up abruptly, causing the shackles tied onto my wrists and legs to cut into the skin. I was freaking kidnapped by a strange troop of black-clothed women, who were led by none other than Giselle, that horrible woman. Who, if I may say, I so blindly believed. I don't even know why I am brought here. But first of all, where the hell am I? I groan, holding my pounding head. You're in a cellar. I stop dead at the unfamiliar masculine voice. My head slowly directs to the source of the sound. There in the other corner of the adjoining cell, I see a blonde-headed man, tied in shackles similar to mine, seated in a relaxed posture as if he's been there for a very long time, observing my every move with his calculating brown eyes. Whose mate are you exactly? Evan or Daniel? He asks in his thick Bulgarian accent, making me more shocked than I already am. Does he know Evan and Daniel? They are pretty much known to all the supernaturals cause they are royals. So, that isn't surprising, but the fact that he knows about the mate thing is what shocked me. No one is aware of that fact. Even I wasn't aware of the mate thing, even though I was a part of it. How do you know about it? I mean, the mate thing. I look at him curiously as he dusts his pants while replying. I know it because I am a part of the prophecy. Part of the prophecy? According to Giselle, 3 pairs were included in the prophecy. Evan and I, Daniel and his mate, whom he's yet to find, and Clara and... What's your name? I ask a little too curiously. Jacob. Evan stretched his arms to hold the girl who made her way into his heart closer. To his dismay, the other side of the bed was empty. Yesterday, he couldn't seem to forget the hurt look in Alana's eyes when she asked whether he killed her parents. He had taken all the blame on himself so that Stefan would be out of suspicion. Evan knew what Stefan had done years ago. He regretted it and has been carrying the guilt ever since. Making Stefan aware that it was Alana's parents whom he killed would make his guilt swallow him whole. Evan couldn't do that. He couldn't let his minor brother suffer. And knowing how much Stefan and Alana mattered to each other, he couldn't let their bond be broken. It would have hurt them both. He couldn't see them both hurt. He cared for both of them. He had come here yesterday planning to leave before Alana woke up. But looks like his plan had gone into vain since it was almost afternoon. She must already be awake, and now he'll have to answer her about his act. But first, he had to find her, Evan thought. He quickly got off the bed, making his way out of the room to the passageway, where he saw Olivia giving instructions to a guard. "Have you seen Alana, Livy?" "She isn't in her room," Evan asked Olivia once he was in front of her. She shook her head. "No, maybe she'll be somewhere in the mansion." Evan and Olivia felt a gush of air as Stefan came running in his vampire speed and stood in front of them. "No, she isn't, old lady. I am searching for my sister since 5 in the morning in every place possible except she's nowhere." Stefan frowned, making hand gestures. Olivia's eyes widened. She had thought Alana had returned after she went for a stroll in the forest. Listening to Stefan said otherwise. I thought she returned back yesterday night from the forest." The words escaped Olivia's lips as the men snapped their heads in her direction. "Forest?" Stefan tilted his head, and Evan could feel worry bubbling inside him. "Alana went there for a walk yesterday night. She was supposed to return after some time. I thought she must have returned, but she didn't." "God, where is she?" Olivia was as worried as Stefan. Evan felt rage and worry fill him. It was really dangerous to stroll in the forests at night. He wouldn't spare a single person if anything happened to his Alana. He would stop at nothing to find her. Black smoke started emitting from Evan's balled fists, dark veins covered the area under his eyes, and his eyes started turning entirely black. Olivia and Stefan gasped, looking at Evan. "What's wrong with him?" Both of them looked at each other frantically before shouting at the top of their lungs. "Clara! Clara! Come here fast. Something is wrong with Evan." Evan didn't move from his place while the black smoke started swirling around him. Clara came rushing soon after. Her eyes widened looking at the sight in front of her as she covered her mouth with her palms. "Goddamn. He's losing his control." Chapter 30. Clara's POV. "Evan. Snap out of it." I shook him vigorously, but to no avail. Evan didn't seem to budge. Daniel and Ariel had also come to investigate the commotion. I started moving to and fro, holding my head. I don't understand what to do, and if I don't take action quickly, then Evan will be out of control. The royals are gifted with certain affinities, which are to be kept secret until there's an emergency. Evan has the power of dark energy. However, the problem is that his dark energy is so powerful that it can drive him insane if not kept in control for a long time. And that long time is probably 1 or 2 days. It takes only 1 or 2 days for him to become insane. I don't know what made him lose control all of a sudden when he was so happy yesterday after learning that Alana was his mate. Alana. Now that I realize, I haven't seen her since yesterday. She isn't present here as well. I am sure Evan losing control is somehow related to Alana and the mate bond. But first, I need to make Evan controllable. I stop as an idea pops into my head. I rushed to my room as Stefan and Olivia trailed behind, while Daniel and Ariel stayed with the distressed Evan. The moment I entered my bedchambers, I started throwing books from the bookshelf at the corner of the room, searching for the switch. It has to be somewhere in there. "Clara, what are you dash?" Before Stefan could finish, I pressed the hidden button, which I had finally found. Inside the bookshelf, and the entire shelf slid to the side, revealing a sparsely lit room. In the middle of the room was a huge wooden cabinet containing small glass bottles filled with potions and various types of grimoires, spell books. "Wow, you have a secret room," Stefan said, astonished as I strode inside the room, while the two followed me. I picked 2 bottles from the shelf and started mixing the contents in a container, chanting a spell. "Whoa, you have all these witchy stuff hidden over here. Now I understand why I could never find them." Stefan said, "All this while there is a secret room and you didn't tell me." He rambled on, and I was totally getting annoyed because I wasn't able to focus on the spell, and Evan was on the verge of going insane. "Shut up, Stefan. I am trying to focus." "Olivia, can you take him out of here?" She nodded, dragging a resisting Stefan out of the room. Olivia looked sad, or maybe I was assuming it. Looking down at the container, in which I have just mixed the 2 potions, I saw the color of the liquid had changed into a purple texture. Perfect. I poured the potion into an empty glass bottle. Shutting the secret room, I exited my chambers. As I reached Evan's study, where the others were, including a power-hungry Evan, I quickly went up to him. Forcing his mouth open, I poured the purple liquid into his mouth. Good that he didn't resist. Perks of his starting period of losing control. The black winds around him decreased before eventually disappearing. Evan's eyes started turning back to their red-brown color, and the veins on his face disappeared as well. He looked in control. Although I am pretty sure it won't last for long. The spell in the potion just immobilized his powers for about an hour. Hey man, what happened to you? Daniel placed his hand on Evan's shoulder while Evan just stared at him blankly. Actually, Danny, he's not entirely in control. He's okay for an hour before he loses control again. I say, witches can't wear off dark energy without practicing black magic, and you know I can't do that. It's against her laws. Besides, it can turn me evil. Everyone's eyes widened except Stefan, who had a sad face. I know he knows that part of my powers are weak because I lost Jacob. I wanted to sob and wallow at that, but refrained from doing so. Yes, I lost Jacob. I lost my mate. He is dead. My child is dead. I even lost some of my powers. But I have to be strong. For Evan. For my brothers. Are you okay, Clara? Daniel asked, placing his hand on my shoulder. I smiled, nodding. What do we do now? I mean, how do we keep Evan in control then? Ariel asked, looking worried. I have thought about it. The only conclusion I have come up with is that the only person who can overpower Evan's dark powers is her. The ultimate queen. Melissa Castilejo. The queen of all supernaturals. The first ever crossbreed accepted by the witches. She's a vampire Lycan, which siren crossbreed. It is also said that an angel princess blesses her. Melissa is said to be one of the most beautiful women on the planet. Maybe it's because she's a part siren. But behind that beautiful face lies the most powerful supernatural in existence. Saying I am an ancient in front of her would be an understatement. She's much older than I am. She's 900 years old. That means almost a millennium years old. I know she can keep Evan in control. She had done it before. Melissa. We need to link her. I replied, looking at everyone. And how do you think you can link her? We all looked at Stefan weirdly. What? Lisa is beautiful. Sure, Lisa is beautiful, but saying it out loud in this situation, let's say only Stefan can do that. Since Daniel, Evan, and I, all of us are present, we can link her through the, linking triangle I informed, not knowing what exactly to name the triangle. Since we are the royals who will be included in a prophecy that will take place after 200 years, we have a direct link with Melissa or Lisa through the triangle. Okay then. Let's do it. Daniel steps forward, by the way. Where's Alana? He looks at Stefan and Olivia. Stefan opens his mouth to say something, then closes it. It seems he wants to say something. However, Olivia does it for him. She's missing. Olivia says, we came to know in the morning while we were talking with Evan, and then suddenly, black smoke starts swiveling him. Now, I understand why Evan lost it. The mate bond is triggering his powers. When I was away from Jacob, my mate, even for a few hours, my powers would weaken. But I guess in Evan's case, he loses control. Daniel was about to speak when he was interrupted. He lost control due to the mate bond. Mate bond, Stefan tilts his head before his eyes widen as realization hits him. Does that mean Alana is Dash? My mate, Evan speaks for the first time as black smoke slowly starts to emit from his clenched fists. I don't know whether the spell can hold him even for an hour now. We need to find Alana fast. Danny, we need to link Lisa ASAP. I grab his hand and look at Evan. Evie, I know you're worried about Alana. Believe me, we all are, and we want to find her. And to do that, we need your help. I extend my hand while he stares at me blankly before hesitantly placing his palm on mine. I smile. At least, he's trying. Let's start. Evan, Daniel, and Clara stand forming a triangle as they all close their eyes and repeat Clara's spell words. The formed triangle begins to glow slowly with the three royals, while their eyes remain closed. A very bright light spreads in the room, almost making Ariel, Stefan, and Olivia blind for a minute. A figure of a woman in her early 20s, with glowing blue-green eyes, wavy brunette hair, and porcelain-white skin, begins to appear in the middle of the triangle. The light decreases as Daniel and Clara open their eyes, revealing broad smiles, while their queen stands before them. "Hello, everyone." An angelic voice, which has the power that makes them all bow their heads, booms in the room. Chapter 31. Alana's POV. I stared at him, shocked. That means Jacob is alive while Clara thinks he's dead. But then why is he captured here? "Why are you?" My question was cut off by the footsteps echoing through the cell. "Looks like you both have already introduced yourselves to each other." Relief and hope flooded me as I looked up at the woman. The werewolf queen stood smiling at me and Jacob. "She's here. Maybe she can help us escape when I tell her I was abducted by Giselle." I opened my mouth to speak, but stopped dead in my tracks when I spotted the woman I had started to loathe standing behind the queen, smirking at me, making the little hope I had vanish in thin air. "You are helping her." I whisper, "How can you do that?" I yell at the queen. In a minute, she's standing in front of me, gripping my chin tightly with her palm. "Mind your voice, human." She spat, tightening her grip. Tears welled in my eyes as the grip turned painful. I looked at the queen with all the hatred I had. How could she help Giselle? Doesn't she know that she's a traitor? Or, my eyes widened as realization dawned on me. "You're the one who's creating hybrids, aren't you?" I said, while she just smirked. Bingo. Giselle walked up to me. How can she do that? How can the queen herself break the rules? She's betraying everybody. She's the one creating dangerous hybrids. She's the one who changed James into a monster. Evan and Daniel suspected the right. I want to tell them that they are suspecting the right person. The queen herself is the traitor. But I can't until I am held captive over here. I need to escape. The queen released the grip on my face. Standing up, she whispered something to Giselle before leaving the cell without a word. Giselle looked at me and smirked. "Now, you're my priority. I can do whatever I want with you." Her smirk grew wider, like this. Stretching her palm, she raised her right hand. A stinging pain shot through my head, making me scream with agony. I felt like thousands of needles were poking my head. As seconds passed, the pain became unbearable. My screams echoed in my ears. Just as I thought that I couldn't handle it anymore, a strong force made Giselle fall to the ground as Jacob yelled from the adjoining cell. "Stop it, Genevieve." Author's POV. I presume there's something important for which I am linked here. Melissa's eyes skidded around the room, looking at everyone before landing on Evan. "What's wrong with Evan?" "There are two things we need to inform you, but first I need you to keep Evan in control. He's losing it due to the mate bond," Clara replied. Lisa's face shone with happiness. Evan has been searching for his mate for centuries, and now he has finally found her. She couldn't be happier for her friend. Unlike the other kings and queens who were known to everyone, Lisa was unknown to the supernaturals. For them, she was a legend who existed long ago and eventually passed away. No one, except the royal families, knew exactly who Lisa was or whether she still existed. She was a walking power bank with powers that no one would have ever heard about, but she knew how to conceal them well. "Nice to hear you finally found your mate." She congratulated Evan before turning to Daniel. "When are you going to find yours, Danny?" Lisa couldn't help but chuckle at Daniel's expression as he scowled, muttering, "I don't even want to find her." Lisa knew Daniel was a fun-loving guy. For him to settle down with one woman and love her for eternity would sound like some fairy tale out of a kid's book. But she also knew that once he found her and the moment he looked into his mate's eyes, he would forget all his morals. Lisa glanced at Evan. Though a sparse amount of black smoke began to emit from his fists, other than that, he was deathly quiet and stood like a statue. He would be fine for at least half an hour, she thought, checking on his condition. For now, Evan looks fine. Once he loses it, I'll make sure he doesn't go rampage. Though, he won't be completely sane and won't react to anything until he finds his mate. So we need to find her. Lisa informed. Until then, tell me about the other pressing matters. Stefan glanced at Clara as she nodded with a smile before looking back at Lisa. In the middle of the royal party that was held a day ago, A hybrid attacked Queen Deanna, the werewolf queen. If it weren't for Evan, she would have been severely hurt. Someone's creating hybrids. Anne, we suspect the werewolf queen herself, Danielle stated firmly. Lisa thought over the information she had just retrieved. She had never trusted the woman to be handed the throne over to, but since the actual werewolf queen and king had died and Queen Deanna was the king's second wife, she wasn't left with an option. Queens ruled werewolves, as the she-wolves are considered stronger. The other reason the royal family of wolves ruled them was that a power was passed on to the first werewolf queen by the moon goddess herself, and then that power was passed on to her first daughter, continuing the royal lineage. The previous queen had the mentioned power, but Ariel hadn't acquired it yet, which was one of the reasons she appointed Diana as the queen. Lisa gestured for the others to settle down as she took a seat on one of the couches. I understand you suspect her, but then why would the hybrid attack her if she's the one who created him or her? Daniel and the others had not paid attention to that matter. They were too intent on suspecting the queen that the attack just slipped off their minds. They remained quiet as Olivia spoke. It must be a cover-up to avoid any suspicion. James, the hybrid, could have snapped her neck the moment she was attacked, but he didn't. Though when Evan held him, the hybrid tried to kill him. That only confirms the suspicion. Olivia stated that earning the appreciation of the queen and the others. I didn't think you had brains, old woman. Stefan commented as the others chuckled while Olivia rolled her eyes, says the biggest fool on the planet. Stefan muttered, oh whatever, rolling his eyes. As all of them were occupied with their little distraction, Lisa took the opportunity to reveal the traitor who had been eavesdropping on them since she arrived. In the blink of an eye, she was in front of the curly-haired maid who stood behind the study room's door with her ears pressed against the door. She took hold of the girl's hand, teleporting herself back to the study along with the curly-haired girl. Pushing the girl in front of everyone as they stood startled with the sudden intrusion, care to explain why you were eavesdropping? Lisa asked in a deathly calm tone. I wasn't Dash, the queen cut off the maid as she looked straight into her eyes, don't lie. Speak the truth, Lisa commanded, compelling her. And then just like in a trance, the maid rambled the truth. I am appointed to give all the information to Queen Deanna about what's happening in the mansion. Where did the queen keep Alana? She asked before turning to the others. I guess that's her name? Evan S. muttering her name in his head, repeatedly. Yeah, Olivia trailed. She didn't know the queen was able to hear their thoughts. Her thoughts were interrupted as the maid started speaking. I don't know where exactly she has kept her, but she's somewhere near the Rodriguez's castle. Fine. Now, let me look into your head. Let me see whether you are worth being forgiven or not. Lisa smirked, causing the girl to cower in fear. Placing both her palms on either side of the maid's head, she closed her eyes as blue light started radiating off her palms. After a minute, she opened her eyes and stepped back from the maid. In a flash, Lisa's hand struck the middle of the maid's chest. The maid crumpled to the ground, her dark energy extinguished. Looking at the shocked faces of everyone in the room, Lisa spoke. She's a terrible person who wants to practice black magic. She killed her parents for the same purpose. So, she deserved to die. And there's one more thing I came to know. She turned around to look at Clara. Clara, remember Genevieve? Clara's eyes visibly widened. It couldn't be her. You got be kidding me. She muttered with utter disbelief. I am afraid not. But she was dead. I killed her. Clara said frantically. That's the thing, she isn't dead. Besides, Lisa fixed her gaze at Evan, Stefan, and Olivia. You guys were sowing your enemy's seed in your own house. Looking at their confused faces, she spoke further. I also looked into the maid's memory since she came here and realized the woman you people think of as Giselle Johnson is actually a dark witch named Genevieve. A witch who was obsessed with Jacob to the point that I had to kill her. Clara said. Chapter 32. Ariel's POV. Clara was fuming with anger. I haven't seen this Giselle, aka Genevieve, girl, who happens to be a century-old witch practicing black magic, since she's a dark witch, but one clear thing was that Clara and Lisa hated her a lot. Both of them looked equally mad. Lisa's eyes were glowing blue dangerously, one of the signs that her siren was trying to take control, and Clara couldn't stop muttering that Genevieve should have been dead. Now I get it. The witch who clouded the hybrid's memories was none other than Genevieve. I should have understood it. Who other than that wretch could possibly help Queen Diana? Clara rambled, fuming with anger. I am sure Genevieve must have done something horrible to both of them that they are so mad. I wonder what she did to them. She killed one of the people who is very close to me. She killed Clara's child through her black magic. She even tried to kill Jacob, 'cause he chose Clara over her. She's a psychopath. I don't know how she survived Clara's attack years ago. Lisa burst out angrily. I totally forgot she could read my mind. Lisa's head suddenly snapped in Stefan's direction. Can I see the hybrid? She asked as he nodded. After Olivia accompanied one of the guards to get James, I guess that's the hybrid's name, we all stood in anticipation, waiting for them to return. My ears perked up as I heard footsteps echoing from a far distance. Claudia, my wolf, started squealing and jumping, making me really confused by her sudden excitement. Claudia? What's wrong? I asked her through our mind link. I am not sure, she replied. Before I could ask what she was talking about, the door of the study room opened, revealing a man chained in shackles. His head was bent low, hiding his face from me. Claudia started squealing in my head, not able to control her happiness. I was still confused as to why she was behaving like this, but my unasked question was answered as the man looked up. I felt like the world around me stilled as my eyes met his forest green orbs. He was the most beautiful person I have ever laid my eyes on. His sweet, masculine smell filled my nostrils. I can never get enough of it. I guess he felt the same thing as he looked at me with equal passion. Mate, we both growled, simultaneously making everyone around us shocked. Alana's POV. Giselle stood up angrily and lunged towards Jacob. How dare you stop me? She yelled and grabbed his jaw. Don't take advantage of my love for you. Jacob started laughing, adding fuel to her anger. Love? You're delusional, Genevieve. Why don't you understand that I love Clara? Wait, why is Jacob calling her Genevieve again and again? Don't speak about her from that pretty mouth of yours, Jack. She snarls. Besides, I can always back out of our deal. You wouldn't dare touch a single hair of Clara's. He warns, giving her a death glare. A wicked smile grows on her lips. Look at you. Still worried about that pathetic wife of yours. I know I can't kill Clara, but she turns to me with a smirk. I can certainly kill Evan's little mate here. She lifts her palms, and I am thrown against the wall. Then slowly the familiar pain from earlier starts to surface back, but this time, with much more force, and instead of just my head, my whole body feels like it's been pricked by thousands of needles. Ag! I scream. Let her go, Genevieve. Jacob yells, you can't kill her. Giselle seems unaffected as she continues with her assault. You haven't found all of the mates. Daniel still has to find his. You can't kill her until then, at least. His attempt is successful this time as Giselle releases me, turning on her toes, making me fall to the ground with a thud. I am sure I broke a few of my bones due to that terrible fall. Giselle's evil laugh echoes in the cell as she goes into a laughing fit. She moves a few steps back to stand in the middle of the cell so that Jacob and I both can see her before she speaks. You think that threat is going to work on me? I thought you knew me more than that, Jack. After all, I was your childhood friend. I am disappointed. She has a frown on her face before masking it with a smile. I forgive you. Because I love you so much, and so I want to show you something. She lifts her wrist to her face before showing it to us as our eyes widen. On her wrist was the tattoo of an eagle with a cross-marked chain around its neck, similar to the one on my wrist, the mate mark. Giselle has a smug expression on her face as she speaks further. I am Daniel's mate. And guess what? He doesn't know it. Chapter 33. Author's POV. Do I really have to wear this? Stefan scowled, scanning his outfit in the mirror for the 100th time. The pink flowy gown reached his ankles, and the blonde wig stuck to his hair like a second skin. Since everyone came to know that James was someone's mate, Ariel's mate, to be exact, the queen couldn't kill him. Melissa tried to look into his head. But his memory was still fogged, and all she found were bits and pieces of his life, which didn't seem threatening. After thinking over the matter, all of them came up with a plan back then, and that's what they're working on now. It's important so that they don't recognize you. You don't look bad, though. Olivia stifled her laugh as Stefan narrowed his eyes. What should we name you? What about Stephanie? Cool. Lisa commented. Stephanie it is then. Before Stefan could object or say anything, Lisa practically dragged him out of the room to where Clara and the others were. When Clara and Daniel saw Stefan, their eyes widened before both of them burst into a laughing fit. Gosh. Stefan. You look. Clara stopped her laughter for a moment. Interesting. Daniel agreed, still laughing. Remember, I am doing all this for my sister, okay? Stefan huffed. Both of them stopped laughing before nodding as Stefan turned to Lisa. What's the plan again? First, we find Alana. You two will get into the mansion secretly and tell the queen that you want to practice black magic. Lisa looked at Stefan and Olivia, who were disguised to conceal their true identities. As far as I got to know about the queen from the maid's memory, she will gladly let you in then, as soon as you both find Alana. Get her out of there. Lisa turned to Daniel and Ariel. You both try to find information about the queen. Try to find where she goes, what she does in her free time, and also keep an eye on her daughter Carla. She smirked, glancing at James, who stood beside Ariel. I am sure she will be shocked to find out that one of her hybrids is Ariel's mate when I inform her. I am sorry to interrupt, but can't you just look into the queen's head the way you did earlier with that girl to find out where the queen hid Alana? Olivia inquired. Clara spoke on Lisa's behalf. The girl Lisa looked into the memories of before wasn't an actual witch. She was still in the process of practicing black magic, so it wasn't a problem looking into her head. But the queen, we don't know whether she practices black magic or not. And if she does, she can destroy her memories before we even find anything. Besides, if she has created more hybrids, which I assume she did, then we will have to find them all together before any more problem arises and they run away. And that is only possible if Queen Deanna gathers them. This is so messed up. Stefan tugged irritably at his now long blonde hair and put his attention on Clara and Lisa, knowing exactly that they weren't going to stay quiet without doing anything. What are you and Lisa gonna do? Lisa glanced at Evan with a frown, who stood still like a statue, his eyes pitch black with the black smoke engulfing him, before turning to Stefan. I am stuck up with Evan while Clara tries to find Genevieve. During all the planning, Evan had already lost control, and it took a great deal of Lisa's will and power not to harm him for destroying everything around him. One more thing. We have to take small baby steps. No one will rush or else we will put everyone in danger, especially Alana. Clara warned. The smoke around Evan grew darker. He wouldn't let anything happen to Alana, whether the plan succeeded or not. That was for sure. After everyone understood their part of the work, Evan, Stefan, Olivia, Lisa, Clara, Daniel, Ariel, and James were seated in their respective carriages as they headed to Ireland. Chapter 34. Alana's POV. 1 month. Almost 1 month of this absolute torture. In the last month, every week, the queen bought one of her new witches to this cellar where they experimented with their dark magic on me and Jacob. Every week, a new woman, who's absolutely delusional because she sacrifices her family for black magic, comes by and almost kills me with their so-called black magic. And worst of all, they enjoy it. Jacob assured that he's used to this kind of thing, which makes me shiver. He's been here for almost a century. I don't know how he bore it all these years. But then he is doing all this for Clara. One thing I have come to know about Jacob is that he loves Clara more than anything. Every day after the witches were finished with their torture and left, Jacob would tell me about the vampires, werewolves, and witches. After hearing him, I realized that I certainly don't know anything about them except their abilities, and Jacob, on the other hand, is like a supernatural historian. He said about a confident woman who's the queen of all supernaturals. She is known as the ultimate queen. Her name is Melissa Castilejo. She's a crossbreed, a mighty one at that, and she's unknown to the supernaturals except for the royal families. Jacob knew about her since she was Clara's close friend, and they both used to visit her. Jacob was part of the prophecy, and he didn't pose a threat to Melissa, so she didn't hide her identity in front of him, and that was the reason he was aware of her presence in the first place. I also came to know an interesting thing. There's a human realm. The humans over there aren't even aware of vampires, witches, or any of that kind. The supernatural realm, where we stay, and the human realm are joined by a portal, and the location of the portal is only known by Melissa and the royal families. Some supernaturals reside in the human realm, but they are restricted from revealing their identity there. Regarding humans from the supernatural realm, if, even by mistake, any human crosses the portal and enters the human realm, they will never be able to return, or rather, the person will forget every single thing related to the supernatural realm, and vice versa. They might as well forget about their family and get lost there. That's the reason why humans are kept unaware of this piece of information. Now that I think about it, I am informed about all these just because I am Evan's mate. And that makes me miss him. It's weird that out of all people, Evan's the one I have missed the most. At first, I had even expected him to show up and get me and Jacob out of this damned cellar, but then Jacob said that it wouldn't be possible for anyone to show up here since the whole place we are in is surrounded by a lot of black magic. We can't escape either for the same reason. All in all, we are trapped in here for God knows how long. Author's POV. Royal Palace, Ireland. Queen Diana made her way out of the throne room, the heels of her shoes clicking on the marbled floor as she headed towards the palace's exit door. Ariel, who stood a few feet away from the main door, spotted the queen going out. She followed Queen Diana without anyone's notice. Reaching the backside of the palace, Queen Diana waved her hand in the air, gesturing for a disguised Stefan and Olivia to follow her. They trailed behind without a word, secretly giving a spying Ariel an assuring nod, which said, "We'll take matters from here." Queen Diana stopped walking once they were in the garden. Ariel watched as the queen lifted her palms over her head, and just like every day, she disappeared, but this time with a disguised Stefan and Olivia. After 1 month of constant trying, they were finally going to find Alana. Chapter 35. Alana's POV. My back leaned against the hard wall of the cell, waiting for our next tormentor to enter. Like every week, today Queen Diana will send one of her witches to try their magic on us. Jacob's back was leaning against the wall, just like mine, with his eyes closed in deep thoughts. He had been this way for a while now. You know, she wasn't always this way. He slowly opened his eyes to look at the ceiling. I tilted my head, confused about who he was referring to. "I mean Genevieve," he said, clearing my confusion before speaking. "When she was small, she used to be this sweet and bubbly girl who happened to be my best friend. We grew up together as her mother stayed next to our house with her elder sister, Patricia. Her father died when she was really young. We used to play, learn, and do everything together. But one day, when Genevieve was around 17, Patricia tried to kill her mother and Genevieve due to black magic. And that's when everything changed. By Giselle, also known as Genevieve's, confrontation with Jacob when I arrived, I knew for a fact that Jacob and Genevieve knew each other. However, it never occurred to me to ask Jacob about it. And now, when he was confessing about it himself, I was really eager to listen. After all, I never expected Giselle to be sweet by the way she acts now. I told Genevieve to inform the royal family about it, as they were the one who took care of the dark witches. She, being the girl she was back then, didn't want anyone to kill her sister, even though her sister almost attempted to kill her. Somehow, word got out and soon the royal guards were there to execute or burn Patricia. I didn't know Giselle had that type of nature back then. From the girl she is now, she wouldn't think twice before killing innocent people. A look of sadness crossed Jacob's face, but what we didn't expect was for the townsfolk to accuse Genevieve's mother and her as dark witches along with Patricia. Even though Genevieve and her mother never practiced black magic, they were blamed. One thing led to another, and soon enough Patricia was executed, followed by her mother the next day. When the time for her execution appeared, Genevieve ran away. I was perplexed by the information Jacob just gave me. Genevieve was innocent. Her mother was innocent. Still, they were the ones who faced the consequences of Patricia's intentions. Why does that always happen? Why do the innocent always have to bear the consequences? My parents were innocent. Still, they were killed. Though Olivia said it was Stefan who killed them, and I believe her, something doesn't feel right about it. Does dark magic change the person entirely? I asked out of the blue to clear my mind of my parents. However, it was somehow related to Giselle's story in a twisted way. There's a reason why witches are executed or killed for choosing black magic, Alana. Jacob said seriously in his thick Bulgarian accent, when a witch chooses dark energy, breaking nature's law, dark entities possess them and turn them into a person who is full of evil and darkness. All they will want is power. They will do anything to attain more power. They become power greedy. They tend to lose every bit of humanity they possess. I gulped. I knew exactly what it did to Giselle. The girl Jacob mentioned doesn't exist in Giselle anymore. She could have tried to prove her and her mother's innocence. She could have made the townsfolk realize their mistake. She could have moved on after she ran. But no, she chose black magic, and now she doesn't care if an innocent dies or she kills one in that case. I am no one to judge after all. Still, there could be a possibility of her being a good mate to Daniel if she didn't choose the dark path. About Daniel. Jacob had told me that Daniel, being a werewolf, would have two mates. One his soulmate and the other, his mate, were destined by the moon goddess. His mate's pull will be much stronger than anyone else since he's a werewolf, which will only make it more painful when he knows Giselle, his soulmate, is a traitor who betrayed all of us. I can't imagine how much it will affect him. Considering I am human, my mate pull is very weak, but it's still there. However much I ignore my feelings for Evan, I still know they are there, somewhere in the corner of my heart. But Daniel, he'll get the happiest feeling in his life, only to be stabbed by betrayal. I wish his mate turns out to be better than Genevieve. Stefan's POV. Olivia and I were standing in front of the Traitor Queen in an unknown place as we got teleported here. By the massive stone walls surrounding us, I can say we are in a fort. One of you will accompany my ally while the other stays here with me. Queen Deanna informed. I wonder who this ally is. If she's the one I think. Just as I thought about the devil, I heard the ticking of heels on the floor as the woman I hate the most in this world walked to us, flipping her hideous blonde hair. Blonde hair looks pretty on others except Giselle. She looks ridiculous in every single thing. New witches, I see. Giselle smiled, showcasing her white teeth. By the way, how are her teeth so white? Did she put detergent on her teeth? Despite my strong will to knock her out, I smiled back, 'cause I'm doing all this for my sister. And I can't risk Alana's life when we're so close to finding her. Stephanie, right? She looked at me with questioning eyes as I wondered who she was talking about. Olivia nudged me, making me remember my ridiculous girly name. Yes. I put on my best efforts to sound like a woman. You'll be accompanying me to the cellar, where you'll try your magic while Miss Lara will be staying here with the Queen, Giselle informed, referring to Olivia's fake name. Olivia and I nodded simultaneously, agreeing with her. The last month had been hell for everyone. Daniel and Ariel had kept a firm eye on every movement of the Queen while Clara traced the hidden hybrids. She was supposed to track Giselle at first, but then Giselle proved too adept at hiding herself, so we decided to search for the hybrids. Lisa is stuck up with my semi-insane brother. Evan is entirely consumed by his own powers, which are driving him crazy almost every day. Lisa can't let him free even for a minute, as he might destroy everything around him. I have to find Alana fast to bring my sane brother back. While Olivia and I were trying our best to win the Queen's trust, we had to do horrible dark magic. Though we never did it. After all, we aren't witches. But it still hurts to see the innocent suffer. Clara had given both Ollie and me a potion, due to which the people we are around will think we're performing magic when, in reality, we are just moving our hands and doing nothing. The potion is based on the person's thinking. If our observer thinks we are witches, then they will feel the non-existent magic we're using, and it might even hurt them, even if we aren't doing anything to them. Giving an assuring smile to Olivia, I followed the devil as she led me to the place where Alana is held captive. Chapter 36. Alana's POV. I heard the creaky sound of the metal door opening as Genevieve and a woman, who I suppose is a witch, entered the cell. The new witch had bright blonde hair with dark black eyes. Those eyes seem familiar. It took me less than 5 seconds to realize she was actually looking at me, and that's why I could see her eyes clearly. She gave me a broad smile, making me frown. The new witch is weird. Maybe she's smiling because she's happy to torture us. Her gaze skidded to the adjacent cell where Jacob sat, and soon her eyes widened with shock, as if she had seen a ghost. Greetings to both of you. Genevieve smirked. Meet Stephanie. She gestured to the witch, who was busy staring at Jacob with wide eyes. Stephanie. She waved her hand in front of the witch named Stephanie to gain her attention, but to no avail. I know Jacob is handsome, but will you stop staring at him? That seemed to attract Jacob's attention as he scanned the witch skeptically while Stephanie looked back to Genevieve, muttering a sorry. She gave Stephanie a look before walking towards Jacob and leaning towards his height. You know I came to know something. Genevieve's index finger skidded down Jacob's face to his neck. That how you're able to fight me. I wonder what is this? She said next to his ear as her fingers traced the silver chain around his neck. The next thing I know, Genevieve was thrown against the farthest wall due to a strong force. She got up angrily and stormed towards him, only to be pushed back with a much stronger force. How dare you use her powers against me? Give that damned necklace of that pathetic wife of yours. Genevieve's face was fuming with anger, but Jacob refused to comply, and I was thankful that he didn't listen to her. I know I can't hurt you till you have that pathetic wife's necklace, but I can hurt Alana, right? Suddenly, I was thrown against the wall, and I felt as if someone was choking me. Stephanie tried to move towards me, but stopped abruptly when Genevieve sent a questioning look her way. I was gasping as minutes passed. My eyes felt hazy and blurry. Stop it, Genevieve. You're going to kill her. Jacob tried to use his powers, but that only made Genevieve increase her assault on me. Fine. I will give you the chain, he said as the hold on me loosened and I fell to the ground. Smirking to herself, Genevieve made her way to Jacob and opened her palm for him to place the chain on her hand. No. 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 Genevieve can't have that chain. Jacob had mentioned that it was a gift from Clara to him. At first, he didn't know why the chain was so precious to Clara, but still, he had cherished it. When Genevieve had tried to kill Jacob, the powers in the chain had saved him. It was then that he came to know that the chain contained half of Clara's powers, and she had given half of her powers to him through the chain to keep him protected. I know how precious the chain is for Jacob. At the same time, I also know how powerful Clara actually is, and if Clara's powers fall into the hands of Genevieve, she will use them for herself and become more powerful and evil. Don't give her the chain, Jacob. Let her hurt me. My voice came out too late as Genevieve already had the chain clutched in her hand firmly. She looked at me with an irked expression. You're supporting him when his wife's brother is the one who killed your parents. Evan didn't kill them. How dare you lie to me? I screamed at her. A look of surprise crossed Genevieve's face as she came to stand in front of me. So you came to know, huh? That your so-called brother dearest, Stefan, killed your parents. She said, and from the corner of my eyes, I saw the witch, Stephanie, stumble and hold the wall for support. Something is really weird about the witch. Though, I wonder how you came to know. As far as I know Evan, he would never in his dream let his brother be blamed. That's one of the reasons I blamed him so that you hate him and then I can take his dark powers when he goes insane. My bad. It didn't happen. Well, then who said to you about it? She placed her finger on her chin dramatically as if reconsidering her thoughts. How do you know about it in the first place? I snapped at her, dodging her question. Her face broke into a laughing fit. How do I know about it? Are you kidding me? She laughed even more before composing herself to speak further. Well, let me tell you a little secret, sweetheart, about why Stefan, or should I say why I used my voodoo on Stefan to kill your pathetic parents. My breath caught in my throat as I took in her words. I had the feeling all along that Stefan didn't kill my parents. And now, it's confirmed. It was never Stefan. It was Genevieve all along. She used her voodoo on Stefan to kill my parents. He didn't even know what he was doing. Genevieve killed my parents. But why? Chapter 37. Author's POV. Royal Palace, Benetton. Lisa was seated on the armchair leisurely in Evan's study. She glanced at Evan with a bored expression. For the last month, she had tried to calm him, but nothing seemed to work, as with every passing day, he became increasingly out of control. You know, I can free you if you promise not to mess up. She suggested that he was staring at her with pitch-black eyes. She rolled her eyes and turned to look at Clara, who was chanting the locator spell with her eyes closed. Any progress? Lisa inquired as Clara opened her eyes. Stefan had reached the spot where Alana's held captive. We'll be there soon, she replied. Clara took hold of the knife placed on the table next to a map and sliced her palm, letting the droplets of blood from the cut fall on the map. The droplets of blood collected together and started moving in one direction as they traced Stefan's location. After changing directions for a while, the blood flow stopped and came to a halt at a specific spot. Fort Darmont, Clara said as both of them looked at each other with broad smiles. Lisa's head turned to Evan with a determined look. Come on, lover boy. Let's take you to your mate. Stefan's POV. Shock would be an understatement considering the state I am in right now. First of all, Jacob is alive. I mean, he was dead. Not that I have a single bit to complain about it. I'll have to get him out of here along with Ellie. Clara will be so happy to see him. Then, my momentary happiness was snatched when I heard Giselle say that Evan killed Alana's parents. Evan had killed many people, but he never killed the innocent. I know that for sure. But when she said that I killed her parents, the one time when I had actually killed someone flashed in my mind. That day was my worst nightmare. That day, I killed someone innocent. I didn't have any knowledge of what I was doing or why. It was like someone had possessed me, controlling me like their puppet. And now I know why I felt that way. It was because Giselle, aka Genevieve, was using her voodoo on me. I can't believe her. She's delusional. She made me kill someone. But why did she make me kill Alana's parents? Why? Alana's voice was barely above a whisper as she spoke, mirroring my thoughts. I feel so bad. Even though Giselle made me kill Alana's parents, it doesn't change the fact that I was the one who took their lives. I am so sorry, Alana. I really am. It's all my fault. You mean why I killed them? Giselle entangled her hideous blonde hair, twirling it around her index finger. I did warn them, but those stupid fools didn't take me seriously. And now, look, they're dead. You're the fool here. I wanted to shout in her face, but instead remained quiet as she spoke further. Well, do you know your parents were the blessed ones? Her gaze shifted to my sister. Alana's parents were the blessed ones? The blessed ones were the pair of couples who were bestowed by the goddesses with an unknown blessing. Evan had mentioned finding those blessed ones, as they could possess blessings that could be helpful for the welfare of the supernaturals, but we couldn't find them so easily. I wonder how Giselle found them? Let me tell you from the start. Giselle waved her hands in the air as a chair appeared out of nowhere. She took a seat on the chair, picking on her nails. Your father used to work for my fake father and mother, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, who are one of the richest nobles in Benetton. I used my voodoo on them to make them believe that I was their daughter, while their real daughter was killed by me mercilessly. Poor fellows, now that they are out of my control, they must be thinking where their daughter disappeared. Anyways, one day I bumped into your father while using my black magic. I tried to make him forget what he saw, but my black magic didn't work on him. That was enough for me to understand that they were the blessed ones. Only those who are blessed can overcome black magic. A deep frown settled on her face. Now I understand why Mr. Johnson didn't have any knowledge of who Genevieve was when we inquired with him. I proposed a deal. If he hands over his blessings that were his 2 daughters, then I would spare his life. He walked away, shrugging me off, telling me I was crazy to think that he would hand over his kids, and even threatened to inform the royals about me, a dark witch. Well, he didn't expect me to stay quiet after threatening to expose my truth, did he? Sure, I couldn't kill him myself since my powers didn't work on him. And that is when Stefan was offered to me on a silver platter. She laughed, filling my ears with her monster-like sound. My brain flooded with the memories of the day when the worst nightmare of my life took place as she narrated the story. Stefan had accompanied Evan to visit my fake father due to some work. I mixed a liquid in Stefan's tea that made him connect to the voodoo doll I had created. And then, everything was in my control. Poor thing, didn't even have any idea of what he was doing. I still can't forget that horrified look on his face when he realized that he had just killed 2 innocent people after Evan took him away. She laughed wickedly. It's your parents' fault, actually. They should have listened to me. I couldn't find you or your sister at that time. But look at this, at the end of the day, you're here in front of me, helpless. Though your sister is dead, she was supposed to be the most powerful vampire after Evan. Could have been quite useful. A scowl settled on her face at the last sentence. A smirk etched on Alana's lips as she spoke. My sister isn't dead. Giselle got up from the chair abruptly to grab hold of Alana's jaw in a painful grip, making her look at her. What do you mean? Giselle was deathly serious. She sounded desperate to know about Alana's sister. I thought Alana's sister was dead. Alana herself had said to Olivia and me. Is she tricking Giselle, or is it true? I don't know what's happening. I won't utter a word, you witch. Don't you dare speak to me that way. Jacob can't stop me from killing you anymore. She smirked and turned to look at me. Stephanie, pass that chain. She gestured to Clara's silver chain, which was placed on the chair. Who is she joking? I wanted to laugh at the situation in front of me, but I restrained myself and picked up the chain from the chair. Taking slow steps, I headed towards Giselle. She kept her palm open for me to place the chain. Not happening. At the end, I threw the chain in Jacob's direction. Jacob, catch it. The chain thankfully fell right into his hands. What is wrong with you, Stephanie? Giselle glared at me, her hold on Alana loosening momentarily. Only if looks could kill, I would be dead by now. Oh, did I forget to introduce myself? I said dramatically. Throwing off the annoying wig from my head to the floor, I stripped the hideous pink gown, which I had put on top of my usual jeans and shirt. Ladies and gentlemen, I did a dramatic bow and stood straighter. Meet me, the hottest guy on the planet, Stefan Davis. I smiled widely. Giselle's eyes widened like saucers. She looked as if she had seen a zombie out of a grave. The fact that I was the reason she had that look on her face made me literally want to applaud for myself. But wait, I don't have time for that. I have to get Alana and Jacob out of here before Giselle does her witchy stuff. Just on cue, she grabbed Alana's throat, lifting her in the air. She started chanting something gibberish as Alana stayed still, the color of her face turning paler with each second. I stared at her in horror. I have to get Alana out of Giselle's hold. I ran along the whoosh of air only to be obstructed by an invisible shield keeping me from releasing my sister from Giselle's hold. I looked at Jacob for help, who was also chanting something. His eyes widened when he glanced at Giselle. I focused my attention back on Giselle as my expression mirrored Jacob's. A pair of long, pointed, black horns appeared on Giselle's head, her blonde hair turning entirely black as they crawled like snakes around the black horns. What is she? Alana was turning blue. She will die if I or Jacob won't be able to do anything. Oh God. Save her. I muttered every prayer possible. For heaven's sake, I am beyond terrified for my sister's life. As if God had listened to my prayers, a blinding bright light hit my eyes, and even Giselle loosened her hold on Alana to look at the intruder. I grinned as the light subsided to reveal Lisa, Clara, and Evan. Clara's eyes widened when she saw Giselle choking Alana. Evan looked ready to murder anyone in his path. And before both of them could do anything, with a flick of her fingers, Askeil Relija, Lisa muttered, making Giselle involuntarily release Alana from her hold. Alana fell to the ground, panting heavily. I am so glad Lisa released my sister from Giselle's hold. And now that everyone's here, let the game begin. Chapter 38. Alana's POV. I was panting heavily, trying to regain my lost oxygen. I don't know what Genevieve exactly is or what she was doing to me earlier. When she had me lifted by my throat, I felt like my body was going limp by every passing second, as if she was draining the life out of me. Only if it weren't for her suddenly releasing me, I would have been dead. But wait, why would she release me all of a sudden when she looked ready to kill me in an instant? A smile formed on my lips as I glanced towards the intruders in the cell. Evan, Clara, and an utterly beautiful girl who looked to be around 20, with brunette hair and blue-green eyes, were standing and looking at me. Who is the girl? She's beautiful for a human. Maybe she's not human. Thank you for the compliment. And yeah, I am not human, sweetheart. It's good to finally meet you, Alana. The girl extended her hand for a handshake. Her voice was like an angel's, but there was an authority in it that made me want to submit to her. I shook her hand, but then the bell rang in my head. Did she answer my thoughts? By the way, I am Melissa Castilejo. Lisa for short. She smiled sweetly. Melissa Castilejo. Oh my. Is she the ultimate queen Jacob had mentioned about? Yeah. She replied to my thoughts yet again before turning her head to look at Jacob. Jacob? She headed towards him. By the mention of the name, Clara looked in his direction and stared at him with wide eyes, as if she couldn't believe what she was seeing. I thought I lost you. I thought you were. Clara's voice was so low, but I knew there was so much grief held in those words. She had been grieving for a century, believing her mate was dead, even though she never showed it, but she was hurt. Jacob had agreed to stay as Genevieve's prisoner so that she wouldn't hurt Clara. Even though he was suffering every day, he was relieved that Clara was safe. I know for a fact that they both love each other more than anything, and I am happy that they are finally able to get back together after being apart for so long. But I am here now and I missed you, my love. Jacob spread his arms as Clara ran to him and hugged him tightly as if making up for all the years they had been apart. I missed you too, Clara muttered through her teary eyes. I was so happy for them. They're actually meant for each other. Our momentary happiness was disturbed. Enough of the happy reunion. I am gonna kill all of you. Genevieve scoffed. I gasped when I saw her. What is she? She looked no less than Medusa with the horns and snake-like hair. Lisa, do you have any idea what she is? Stefan asked exasperatedly, pointing towards Genevieve, completely ignoring her words. Excuse me, I am speaking. The Dark Witch shouted, but everyone was completely ignoring her. My bones felt a little numb as I tried to get up from the floor. How many times have I cracked my bones because of the Dark Witch's magic? A hand was offered to me, and when I looked up, I saw the familiar face which I had been missing so much during my stay here, but his eyes were entirely black, and his face showed no emotion, which made me gulp. Now what happened to him? Despite my mind protesting to me not to take his help to get up, I placed my hand on Evan's offered palm. His hands are still so warm. He pulled me in one swish movement that I almost crashed into his hard chest. Almost. Once I was on my feet, I stood at a reasonable distance from him, but he didn't let go of my hand. I stared at our intertwined hands and then shifted my gaze to his face. Oh God. His eyes. He's been possessed by a demon, sis. Stefan's words made my eyes widen with shock. Possessed by a demon. I saw Lisa hitting him in his gut with her elbow. Stop scaring the girl, Steph. She directed her attention to me and smiled. He's just out of control. Now that we found you, he'll be fine soon. That will only be possible if you'll be able to escape my clutches. And I'll make sure you won't. Giselle commented. Now you're annoying me. Let's get finished with you. Lisa raised her palm, but Clara stopped her. Lisa, wait. I will take care of her. There's a lot of debt to pay back. Why don't you take Alana and others and meet Olivia outside the fort? Lisa smiled viciously in her direction, all yours. She raised her hands in surrender and headed towards me and Evan, dragging Stefan along with her. I stared at her, confused, when she extended her palm towards me. Come on, Alana. Hold my hand. We need to teleport outside the castle where Olivia is waiting for us. Lisa smiled, her palm still extended. Since my left hand was in Evan's hold, I hesitantly placed my right hand on her palm. Once I did, she took a quick look at my and Evan's hands before turning in Jacob's direction. Jacob, you're coming? Lisa asked him, holding mine and Stefan's hands firmly. I will stay along with Clara. We are in this together. He smiled and took hold of Clara's hand, who smiled back sweetly at him. Thought so. Lisa's smile grew wider as she glanced at Clara. Make sure she doesn't escape this time. With that, she closed her eyes, and the next thing I knew, we were outside a massive fort. But what shocked me was the sight in front of us. Thousands of lethal-looking hybrids were in the open ground, fully armed, as if they were waiting for their opponent's arrival. And now that we're here, the battle shall begin. Chapter 39. I spotted Olivia fighting a few of the hybrids who tried to attack her, but she wouldn't be able to hold them for long. After all, they were so vast in number. Holy cow! What is happening? What's Olivia doing here? She's supposed to be inside the fort. For heaven's sake! She can't fight them all. Stefan stated, and the next thing I know, he was heading towards Olivia, but Lisa caught him in time. Lisa stood in front of him with a stern look. Stop being a child, Stefan. You can't fight them all. I can't use my powers either. My powers are way too dangerous for all of us, so I'll kill these hybrids with my physical strength. You take Olivia along with you and get Clara, Jacob, Daniel, and Ariel out of the fort and join me in the fight. She directed her attention to me. Alana, stay as far as you can from me when I'm using my powers. It's a request, and try to get him out of his daze. We need him. She pointed towards Evan while Stefan and I nodded in agreement to her requests. Soon enough, I saw Lisa moving through the troop of hybrids at such speed that I was barely able to locate her. Finally, I spotted her standing in the center of the ground with hybrids surrounding her. She signaled Stefan to drag Olivia along with him as the hybrid's attention was now caught by the enchanting beauty who stood in the middle of the ground without a single trace of fear. Stefan did as he was told and dragged a resisting Olivia along with him before heading towards the entrance of the fort. Few hybrids tried to follow them, but it was like they couldn't move beyond a particular spot, and that is when I noticed the giant ring around the ground, which ended a few feet ahead of where I stood. It was like the witch circle Genevieve had trapped me in earlier. The only difference is the bright blue light emitting from the ring. I don't know how powerful Lisa actually is. Still, from what I heard from Jacob, her powers are far too mighty because she harnesses the abilities of all her species and comes from the original bloodlines. Sometimes, her powers can be destructive and pose a danger to others. I tried to step further away from the ring, but stopped when I noticed that Evan was still beside me, my hands clutched in his, and he didn't seem to move. He stared blankly at the crowd, which now formed around Lisa with his pitch-black eyes, but didn't do anything else. We need him. He was powerful, and he could actually be of help. Besides, I know he wants to help, do something, but unfortunately, he is stuck. Lisa had told me to bring him out of his semi-possessed state, but the question is, how do I do that? I shook him to get his attention. He turned his head in my direction to take a look at my face, then again stared at the crowd with furrowed eyebrows. I shook him some more, but all he did was take a look and frown before looking back at the crowd. I sighed. Nothing's working. What do I do? I stared at him for a minute as a crazy idea popped into my head. Should I do what I'm thinking? Would that even work? I sighed yet again. It's not like I have an option. If this doesn't work, then at least I tried. I inched closer to him as I realized this must be the craziest thing someone would do to bring a person out of his trance. Ignoring the thought, I stepped closer to him as my heartbeat increased its pace. Cupping his face, I turned his head in my direction, and before he could react or turn away, I placed my lips on his soft ones. His eyes widened, but he didn't make an attempt to step away, so I didn't back off either. I could see his irises switching colors from pitch black to red to brown. It's working. Keep going, Alana. I encouraged myself. When his irises turned back to their usual red-brown color, I tried to step back, but instead he wound his arm around my waist, pulling me closer, making my body flush against his. His other hand entangled in my hair as he angled our faces, deepening the kiss. My heart was beating like crazy, and I couldn't really think properly when his lips were on mine. Finally, he let go of my mouth as I was a little out of breath. His hand was still on my waist, holding me close to him. He stroked my cheek with his other hand and rested his forehead on mine. I missed you, he said, staring into my eyes. I managed to smile despite my reddened cheeks. But before he could say anything, we heard someone clearing their throat. We turned around to find Olivia, Stefan, and Ariel looking at us with amused expressions. Though Stefan was grinning ear to ear as if, "Wait, did they see us kissing?" All the blood rushed to my cheeks as I realized the possibility. Everyone was almost in a battle with the hybrids, while I was here sharing a passionate kiss with Evan. Olivia cleared her throat, and before I could say anything, she hugged me, taking me by surprise. "I am glad we found you, Alana." "I'm sorry. It was my fault. I shouldn't have let you go. I thought you needed some time alone after I told you everything." She backed away with tears in her eyes. I wiped her tears with my palm. "Don't cry. I don't want my sweet little sister staining her beautiful cheeks because of me. And it wasn't your fault." "Damn. Now I'm getting jealous. Even I missed you, Alana, but no sweet words for me." Stefan pouted like a 2-year-old. "I missed you too, my adorable brother. Thank you for saving me in a ninja style." I pulled his cheeks, grinning like an idiot. "I don't mean to interrupt, but I guess Lisa took off the protection circle," Ariel murmured as we all turned in the direction of the ground. Lisa was killing the hybrids by either striking their necks or striking them down with such speed and elegance, as if she were just having her regular dinner. "Oh damn. I forgot. Lisa is not going to use her powers, so she'll kill the hybrids by her muscle power. We should help her," Stefan said to no one in particular. All of us nodded in accordance. "Alana, you're not going anywhere near those hybrids. You'll just stay here," Evan said, more like warning me. But I said, "No, Alana. I don't want to put you in danger. Please try to understand." I frowned. I know that I wasn't of any use. Evan, Stefan, and Olivia are pure-blooded vampires. Ariel is a pure-blooded werewolf, and Lisa is a potent crossbreed, while I am just a normal human. According to Genevieve, I have some special powers as gifts, but I am not aware of any of them. So basically, I am as useless as a cow. Though I want to help, I know Evan won't let me. Okay, I finally gave up. Where's Daniel? Lisa had told Stefan to get Daniel as well, but he's nowhere to be seen. He's going to get Clara and Jacob. Stefan was cut off by the giant hybrid, which pounced on him in its wolf form. The hybrid was acting like a starved animal, growling and trying to scratch Stefan with its massive paws. "Cool down, dude." Stefan held on to the hybrid's paws above him so that it couldn't attack. The hybrid started writhing uncontrollably, trying to free itself from Stefan's hold, and even managed to free one of its arms. "Don't think you won, buddy. I just let you free." Ouch! The hybrid cut him off by scratching the side of his arm. "I have had enough of his playing," Olivia said, and with a swift movement, she pulled the hybrid from the top of Stefan and, in a quick movement, delivered a fatal blow. I stared at her wide-eyed, trying to comprehend what had just happened. I know Olivia grew up among vampires. Fighting and killing would be common for her, but to look at my little sister fighting so mercilessly is really something. I was feeling somewhat uncomfortable with the situation. I felt a warm hand slide through my waist. I looked up at the owner of the hand to find Evan staring at me. "This is one of the reasons why I said you to stay away from the ground." He brought his hand to my cheek, stroking it ever so gently. He placed a gentle kiss on my forehead, muttering, "Take care of yourself," before freeing me from his embrace. "Let's go help Lisa," he stated to Ariel, then to Stefan and Olivia, who were currently arguing about who should have killed the hybrid. They are never going to stop their little arguments, are they? And just like that, all of them headed towards the ground filled with hybrids, but what caught my attention was the new person who stared at everyone as if analyzing their moves to take her next step. The werewolf queen. Clara's POV. I stood in front of the woman who took the most precious things in my life away from me. The woman who killed my child. The woman who kept the love of my life captive for years. There is no person in the world whom I hate more than this woman. This woman used to be my husband's best friend. The woman who once had a good heart, but unfortunately lost it in the path of revenge and hatred. "What now? You're gonna stare me all day?" Genevieve scoffed, and all I could do was roll my eyes. "Just thinking that you could have been a lot better if you wouldn't have chosen this path of darkness. If you wouldn't have chosen this path, you wouldn't be the way you're now." Now you're so consumed with darkness that you can't even back out. If you didn't mess with me, you must have been alive for the rest of your life. I narrated the truth. Look who's talking. A weak excuse of a witch is preaching me about light and darkness. Genevieve clapped with fake amusement in her eyes before they turned darker. Listen, Clara. You are my least favorite person to talk with. So, why don't we just end with this already, and then Jacob's mine forever? I scowled at her. You're so sure that you're gonna win, right? Don't think so highly of yourself, Genevieve. Last time you escaped because I didn't have Jacob with me, and now I turned my head in Jacob's direction with a smile, and he returned the gesture with a much warmer one. Now that I have Jacob by my side, we both know who's more powerful. She shrugged, not really caring about my words. Jacob moved behind me, and before I could turn back to look at him, I felt a silver chain wound around my neck. I took hold of the chain and stared at it as realization hit me. It was the chain which contained half of my powers. I had given it to him years ago as a gift to keep him safe. I turned around to face him. Let's end this, Clara. He smiled and took hold of my hand. I muttered a thank you with a smile and nodded before turning back to Genevieve, who stood with her hands folded across her chest. She had turned back to her human form as soon as Lisa and the others left. If you're finished with your last talk, Romeo and Juliet, can we do the thing we're here for? Genevieve said, and I didn't miss the sudden change in her voice. Her eyes were turning entirely black along with her hair. I could see the sharp horns emerging from her head. She was ready for this, and so was I. I inhaled a deep breath as I felt my powers resurfacing. All these years, I hadn't utilized all the pent-up powers I had within me. And now that I have my other half's powers as well, I know that my powers are going to have a vast effect on her, but I don't care even a bit. She brought this upon herself. And now she had to face the consequences. Though I was a little surprised when I saw those horns and black eyes of hers, after all, I didn't expect her to give herself up so much to the demons that inhabited the darkness. She is now so consumed by the dark that she can never escape this path. A huge tornado enveloped me and Genevieve as my powers returned in full swing. I saw Genevieve's hollow eyes widening. She soon recovered from the shock and started chanting. Does she really think the darkness can overpower the light? Ignoring her, I chanted my own spell. She suddenly stopped chanting and screamed at the top of her lungs. Genevieve fell to the ground panting heavily as I let the winds surrounding us subside. The tornado was gone, but my powers were still very much ready for the next move. I glanced at Jacob to find him staring at us intently without even a scratch. I am glad I put the protection spell on him. You, Genevieve panted. Her breathing was still unstable from the spell I'd just cast on her. Want to say something, Genevieve? I urged. She gave me a death glare with her hollow eyes. She was cut as I raised my palm, sending a wave of pain through her body. She screamed yet again. She held onto her head, which must be throbbing from pain. Clara? Jacob? I turned my head in the direction of the masculine sound to find Daniel standing at the entrance of the cell with a confused expression. His gaze shifted towards Genevieve, and they widened. His posture remained still as he stared at her, his eyes filled with strange emotions. There was confusion, fear, worry, and love. I tried to ask him what was wrong, but then froze when I heard him say, "Mate," he muttered so slowly that it was barely audible. Chapter 40. Daniel's POV. So, where's the unlucky guy who got stuck with you, Clarabelle? I taunted Clara, who glared at me vehemently. We were in the Witch Academy, and Clara was going to meet her mate, and since Stefan was in Benetton, Clara thought of getting me along with her, as I am her friend. He's lucky that he has me. Besides, if Stefan wouldn't have been in Benetton, I would have brought him along. You're such an annoying person, Daniel. Admit it. You enjoy my company. That's why you brought me here. I wiggled my brows and winked at her as she rolled her eyes. I am so done with you, Danny. I'll go see where Jacob is. He's taking too long. And don't you wander around. There are scary witches here who might want to make you their next sacrificial thing, she warned and stomped off without waiting for my reply. I rolled my eyes at her retreating figure. She's so annoying sometimes. I kicked the stone on the grass as I waited for her return. It has been almost half an hour since she went, and there was still no sign of her. What was she doing? Counting chickens with her mate? Deciding to go search myself, I turned around when someone crashed into my chest. I held her waist to prevent her from falling. I felt sparks shoot through me from the spot where my palms made contact with her skin. My wolf was jumping with a weird kind of joy and was really desperate to speak, but I shut him off. Now wasn't the time to have chats with my bugging wolf when I had a pretty little woman in my arms. Pretty? Oh, I didn't see her face yet. All I could see was her bright blonde hair as her head was supposedly lowered. Are you all right, miss? I inquired and found her slowly raising her head to reveal a beautiful set of gray eyes staring at me. She stared at me for quite a while, and I took the time to analyze her face. She had pale skin, which looked soft, all right, and then there were her pink lips, then her bright gray eyes, which looked full of life. She cleared her throat before stepping back. Oh, I'm sorry for bumping into you. I should have looked my way, and of course I shouldn't be staring at someone like that. It's just that you're so handsome, I mean you're a gentleman. By the way, why am I talking so much? I should probably go. She turned away to go, but suddenly stopped and turned her head in my direction. It was good meeting you, mister, she said with a smile before continuing on her path. That's it? I don't even get her name? I shook my head. Why am I suddenly interested in a stranger? I found a smile tug on my own lips. Indeed, I've gone mad. I blinked my eyes several times to confirm whether the woman I was now staring at was really the woman I once met on a sunny day when Clara took me to meet Jacob. She did have the same face. But her eyes looked hollow, her skin deathly pale, her hair black, quitting any sign of those bright blonde hair, and my eyes widened at the sight of those black horns on top of her head. There was not even a single trace of the woman whom I met years ago, who had a bubbly attitude and whose eyes shone when she spoke, the woman who piqued my interest within a single encounter. This woman in front of me was entirely different. This woman had given up herself on the path of darkness, and there was no going back now, which, for some reason, brought a dull ache in my heart. Back in the past, I didn't know she was my mate because I had shut my wolf off whenever he brought her up, but now that I know that she's my mate, it pains my heart to look at her in so much pain. All my senses knew the possibility of who this woman could be, but I didn't want to agree. Mate? No. This can't be possible. She doesn't deserve you, Danny. You're so good in her. Oh, God, no. Why Genevieve? Clara whispered, but all I could see was my mate screaming in pain. Genevieve. That was her name. My mate's name. My mate suddenly stopped screaming when she, I suppose, didn't feel Clara's magic hurting her. Her gaze shifted to me, and it widened for a minute before a ghost of a smirk appeared on her lips. I can stop this if you want, Danny. I know it must be hurting to see your mate this way, Clara said, but I didn't miss the disappointment in her voice. I knew what Genevieve had made Clara go through. Clara might seem like a strong person who was always brave, but there was still that woman in her who cried over the loss of her child, which my mate caused. To add to her misery, my mate had also snatched away Jacob from her. I knew Clara was waiting for the moment she could avenge all the things my mate made her go through. And now that this moment had arrived, she couldn't. Why? Because Genevieve was my mate. I couldn't snatch this opportunity from her for my own causes. My friend must have been a reasonable person in the past, but now she has caused many people to suffer. And now, in this moment, I knew I had to make a decision which would change many lives. I glanced at my mate, who had a smirk etched on her face. He will save me. Right, Daniel? I am his mate. He can't give me up. Now, you're the one who's going to die, Clara. That made me look at her. She would continue with her antics even if I saved her? I inhaled a deep breath, making the decision which would surely cause me heartbreak, but I couldn't think about myself anymore. No, don't stop, Clara. I stated firmly. She looked up at me as if I had lost my mind. Kill her, I confirmed my words before turning my back towards them. I'll be waiting outside in the ground. No, you can't do this, Daniel. I am your mate, you fool. I closed my eyes, trying to block her screams as Clara gave her a painful death. My wolf was howling in agony of losing his mate, but I stood my ground with my decision. I have done the right thing. With that thought in my head, I exited the dungeon, heading towards the battleground. Evan's POV. Blood was everywhere my sight went. Bodies of the hybrids splattered around, decorating the ground. I felt my blood rushing with thrill. Killing. That was something I thoroughly enjoyed. The thrill that was provided by the intense death of my enemies was something I would savor for a lifetime. A hybrid launched itself at me, but before it could strike its attack, I lurched my hand forward into its chest, striking a fatal blow. I brought my fangs to the wound as the hybrid's limp body fell on the ground with a thunk, and a satisfied smirk made its way on my lips. Great kill, Evan. After all, I wasn't wrong. You do have the darkness in you. I turned my head in the direction of the not-so-unfamiliar feminine voice. Do you know how powerful this darkness can make me? Diana, the werewolf queen, asked, folding her arms across her chest. Stop hallucinating, Diana. Why would you need my darkness? It's not like you're a black witch, or are you? I gave her a questioning look. She smirked. Oh, stop pretending. You and I both know the answer. I knew from the moment she didn't turn to her wolf form at the party that there was something amiss about her being a werewolf. She was made the queen as she was the most powerful alpha's daughter, but if so, then why didn't she ever show her wolf form? Knowing Diana, she wouldn't leave a single opportunity to boast about herself. Then why wouldn't she show her powerful wolf to others? These questions had bugged me for a long time, and so I discussed this with Daniel. He told me that she wasn't a werewolf since he mixed wolfbane in her drink, which should have had a fatal effect on normal werewolves except royals. When Diana drank the drink, she was like any other person. Then the question was whether she was a royal. But it was impossible since mine, Daniel's, and Lisa's bloodline are the only remaining royals. After conducting extensive research, we discovered that she was a witch, and a black one at that, which wasn't particularly surprising. She must have cloaked her real identity with black magic. Why do you want to end the royal bloodlines? I asked the question for which I had a general idea of the answer. All the black witches had a grudge against royals, as we were the ones who set the rules for burning or executing those who chose the dark path. Since you're really going to die soon, I'll take this question as your last wish. I rolled my eyes at her stupidity. What makes her think she can kill me? Nonetheless, I remained quiet, wanting to hear her side of the story. We were 9 sisters, including me, who chose the dark path. We were witches since birth, but you see, white magic is not as powerful as black magic, except few who are blessed with powerful white magic like your cousin, Clara. When you can increase your magic as much as you want by sacrifices, then why to stick along with the same amount of magic forever? So, we all planned and killed our parents, which I don't regret at all. Do you know black magic can become more powerful with the blood of your own? So, after killing our parents, we were after each other's lives. In order to save our lives, we all parted, and soon I heard about all of them being caught and executed by the royals, one by one. Even though I was behind their lives, but the royals didn't have permission to kill them. I could have been more powerful if I killed them and not the royals. She scowled. Okay, for a moment there, I actually thought she was upset about her sibling's death, but indeed, I was wrong. So, to take revenge for taking my opportunity of being more powerful, I thought and came up with a perfect plan to take revenge. That began with killing of the vampire and werewolf kings and queens of that time. Something rang in your head, Evan? She smirked. I stared at her wide-eyed. I had always thought that my parents were killed by vampire hunters who were werewolves, and Daniel's were killed by hunters who were vampires. This was new. She was the one who killed our parents. She was the one who took our parents away. This woman is more than I thought. I could feel rage bubbling inside me. I could feel the black smoke resurfacing and swirling around me. How dare she kill my parents and feel so proud of it? In one quick movement, I was in front of her, strangling her neck with my bare hands. Instead of choking, she looked calm as ever and even managed to smile, which irked me to no extent. Motus, she said, and I had to release her neck involuntarily. Now this is the darkness I need for myself, Evan. Diana looked so proud of herself, which made me want nothing more than to end her pathetic life. I tried to step ahead, but it was as if I couldn't move. as if someone is restraining me from taking a step ahead. What did you do, Diana? I burst out angrily as I tried my best to move ahead. If she thinks she can defeat me, she's in for a big surprise. I can use my power of darkness, which is much stronger than her powers, and kill her right this moment. But I'm trying to keep that darkness in check so that I don't lose myself in it again, just like I did a month ago before Alana bought me out of that daze. Alana. The mention of her name prompted me to glance in her direction. My beautiful angel was standing at the place where I had left her, intently staring at the war taking place, with a frown on her pretty face. I am glad she did oblige my request not to interfere in the fight. After all, I couldn't bear it if something happened to her. Isn't she your mate, Evan? Beautiful little thing, right? Diana's screechy voice caught my attention, and I had to unwillingly turn my head away from Alana and look at the woman who killed my parents. What do you think will happen to you if she gets hurt in this fight or perhaps dies? She smirked yet again, and now it was getting really annoying. But the moment her words sank in, I felt dread fill me. If even a single hair on Alana's skin gets hurt, this woman in front of me will have the most brutal death in history. You wouldn't dare, I say through gritted teeth. I started feeling those sensations again, the sensations which reminded me of the amount of darkness I possessed. I know I'm losing it again, but I don't care anymore. All I want is for Alana to be safe and away from any danger. Look at you. This is what I want. All this darkness. Now I know what I have to do to get it all out of you, she said, raising her palm as an object which represented a dagger appeared, and before I knew it, the dagger was moving at full speed in Alana's direction. My mate seemed oblivious to the fact, but as soon as she noticed the huge dagger moving towards her, her eyes widened and she seemed too shocked even to move. My heartbeat was decreasing by every passing second as I tried my best to move, but I was paralyzed to the spot. By the time I set myself free from Diana's magic, it would be too late, and the dagger would already find its mark. No, the thought itself made me quiver. Just as I thought the dagger was going to strike her, Daniel pushed Alana to the ground, resulting in the dagger striking his chest. He stood frozen to the spot with wide eyes before falling to the ground. Chapter 41. Alana's POV. My mind was still reeling from the events that had taken place within a span of just a few seconds. One moment, I was terrified to hell when I thought that the sharp black dagger was going to hit me, and the next moment, I was pushed to the ground, and the dagger passed through Daniel's heart instead of mine. I snapped out of my momentary shock and glanced down at Daniel's frame. Daniel. I laid Daniel's head on my lap as I crouched down to where he was on the ground. He was breathing unevenly as blood spluttered out from the place where the dagger was stuck in his chest. You're going to pay for this. I heard Evan shout at someone, which made me look in his direction reluctantly. I regretted the moment I turned my head to witness the scene in front of me. Evan struck the werewolf queen down with immense force, ending her threat instantly. I thought he was done there, but he went on to hit the woman's remains, which had turned into something that represented a stone statue. Enough, Evan. We'll have to save Daniel. Clara held onto his shoulders, trying to separate Evan from the queen, and he thankfully obliged, as the next moment, he was standing in front of me. Okay, when did he even move? Evan crouched down next to me, where Daniel's head now rested on my lap. Hey, buddy. Get up. Enough of your pranks, man. You really scare us. Now get up. Evan shook Daniel, but to no avail. Daniel lay motionless without a single movement. His skin is paler than ever. Why isn't he healing? He's supposed to heal. He's a werewolf. It was Ariel who had tears staining her pretty face. It was a black witch's dagger. It contains black magic. He won't heal, Ariel. James tried to comfort her by placing a hand on her shoulder. James? Now that I looked at him, he held a kind of pain in his eyes as he looked at Ariel, who was weeping like a child. Wait, what's happening here? No. Ariel pushed his hand away. He can't leave me. He promised me that he won't leave me. She whimpered. He's the only person who's left. James crouched down to where Ariel was crying and held her in his embrace. His hand caressed her hair. I understand, mate. I understand. Mate? Okay, I'm really getting confused. Is James Ariel's mate? Ignoring that thought for now, I focused my attention on my surroundings. The war seemed as if it had already ended. Many bodies of hybrids lie on the ground. The signs of the battle were everywhere. There was a thick air of tension around as everyone's attention was on an almost dying Daniel. Almost dying. Wait, Daniel isn't dead yet. I can feel his heart beating slowly against his chest where my palm rested. I have to do something. He's not dead yet. We can do something to save him. I voiced out my thoughts a little too fast. We can't, Alana. Evan held my hand. A black witch's last magic is very powerful. Besides, Daniel already lost his wolf. Or maybe we can save him. We all directed our attention to Lisa, who spoke all of a sudden. Turn him, Evan. Everyone's face represented shock as they looked at Lisa as if she had grown an additional head. I'm letting you break my own rules. Now, don't make me regret it, she stated firmly. Daniel has already sacrificed a lot for us, and I don't want him to die this way. Not yet. He still has to be there for the prophecy. For all of us. So, I permit you to turn him into a hybrid Evan. Evan looked at Lisa, but he has already lost his wolf, and it's not full moon, as of when James and all the other hybrids who died were turned on full moon. If we turn him now, we will be opposing the law of nature, and you know there will be consequences. I know, but we don't have an option here. Evan, she looked at Daniel with expectation in her beautiful blue-green eyes. He's brave. He'll face all the consequences. I know that. Yeah. Evan's voice trailed as he took hold of Daniel's wrist. I am sorry, my friend. He said before he bit down on Daniel's wrist, breaking the skin. Daniel's whole body shuddered visibly at the impact. He was writhing uncontrollably on the ground. A huge growl escaped past his lips as his eyes fluttered open. His irises were shining gold, and he looked restless. He harshly tried to pry Evan's fangs from his wrist, but Evan didn't let go and only tightened his grip. After a few more struggles, Evan finally let go of Daniel's wrist. The moment he did that, Daniel held Evan's neck in a death grip. What the hell did you do to me? Daniel practically shouted. Calm down, Daniel. This is just the effect of the transition. Don't let it sabotage your emotions. Evan tried to remove Daniel's hands from his neck, but he only tightened his grip. No, I can only feel the rage inside me. Nothing else. He suddenly let go of Evan and fell on the ground, gripping himself as his body thrashed uncontrollably. Oh God, what's happening to him? Ariel was on the verge of bursting into tears as she looked at her brother, who was screaming in pain. It's all part of the consequences, Ariel. The transition isn't inherently acceptable. He'll go through a lot of pain in order to turn into a complete hybrid, and then there's more. Lisa's gaze shifted to Evan for a fleeting second, and all I saw in his eyes was sadness as he looked at his dear friend. He'll be fine. I placed my hand on his shoulder, trying to console him when I myself didn't know what would happen next. There's more. Another growl cut off Ariel's question from Daniel. It pained me to look at Daniel suffer. If it weren't for me, he wouldn't have been in the condition he is now. It's all my fault. The dagger should have hit me instead. It's not your fault, Alana. It was Daniel's decision itself. He knew the outcome, but he still came in front of you and let the dagger hit him instead, Lisa said. I had completely forgotten that she could hear my thoughts. Lisa crouched down to Daniel's form and placed her palm on his head, muttering something with her eyes closed. The next moment, Daniel stopped struggling as his eyes started to shut. Let's take him back to the castle. We were back in Benetton in the Davies mansion. It felt like years since I visited this place. Everything was the same since I left, except for a few walls that had cracks, as if someone had punched against them or caused the damage intentionally. We had all been waiting for Daniel to complete his transition after we came here. Lisa, Clara, and Jacob were trying to make his transition less painful by casting some spells while I, Evan, Stefan, Olivia, Ariel, and James were all outside hearing Daniel scream in pain. Ariel was crying continuously in James' arms as he comforted her. Surprisingly, James is indeed Ariel's mate. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, they look perfect together, and James really seems to care for Ariel. Whatever feelings I had for James before, I don't have them anymore. Since I realized my feelings for Evan. So, yeah, I'm happy for them. From the corner of my eye, I sighted Stefan and Olivia. It was the first time I saw tears in Stefan's eyes. He is always smiling, which feels weird when he's crying like this. Stefan was weeping, hugging Olivia tightly as she caressed his back in a comforting way. A slow but sure smile made its way to my lips. Whether they accepted it or not, they both cared for each other, and even when they were fighting or arguing, they had a kind of chemistry between them that only a few would notice. A cough interrupted my reverie, and I glanced at Evan before looking back at Stefan and Olivia. Don't you think they have something going on between them? He just hummed in response. Our heads snapped in the direction of the room, where Daniel was, when we heard the door open as Lisa and Clara came out with satisfied smiles on their pretty faces, while Jacob looked a little worn out, but he still managed to smile. You can meet him now. Though there are a few things about him that I would like to warn you about. Clara's gaze stayed on me for a second before she looked back at everyone. Since Daniel was not turned on full moon, he will not be able to use both of his vampire/werewolf sides together. That is, he can either use his vampire side or either use his werewolf side at a time. And since he was turned by Evan, he'll have the same powers of a royal vampire and the same bloodthirst that the royals suffer so. I felt like she wanted to say something as her gazes were fixed on me, but she looked a bit nervous. Clara? Nervous? It's okay, Myota Lyabov. I'll tell her. Jacob came beside Clara, linking their hands. I'm sorry to say this, Alana, but you can't meet Daniel as of now. You see, you're a human, and he's quite bloodthirsty right now. It would be best if you stay away from him for now so that he doesn't lose control. Don't worry, he'll be fine in a few days, and then he'll be able to control his thirst. Then you can meet him. I hope you understand. Oh, so I can't meet Danny, right? I had a question to ask him, which I will have to wait for now. But it's okay. I understand, I said. They all nodded in accordance as they started to enter the room to meet Daniel. Evan gave my hand a gentle squeeze before he followed the others to Danny's room. At last, things were getting back to place. Chapter 42. Alana's POV. So, why did you save me that day by sacrificing yourself? I asked Daniel the question I'd been dying to ask for the last few days. Daniel and I were taking a stroll in the garden, as he was now finally okay and could control his thirst for blood. It had been a week since that eventful battle with the hybrids and the queen. A lot had been lost that day and a lot had been solved. Daniel lost his werewolf life. Now he was a hybrid who had quite a scavenging thirst and control issues. According to Lisa, it was all part of the consequences, and with time, Daniel would be able to control his powers. Yes, he had become more powerful than before, but what's the benefit of the power which would make you have an internal battle with yourself every single day? And to top it, he had to sacrifice his mate for the benefit of us all. I know it wouldn't have been easy for him to give up his mate, but he did it anyway. I don't pity Daniel. He doesn't need pity. I know he can handle it, but sometimes I think, only if things could be different. Only if Genevieve wasn't his mate. Only if she hadn't chosen black magic. Only if he hadn't received the dagger instead of me. There were so many only ifs, but still, despite everything that happened, I was thankful to him for saving my life. First thing, from the moment I met you, I knew you were a good person with good intentions, Daniel said, dragging me out of my reverie, and then I noticed the way Evan looked at you, the way he cared about you. I actually thought you were his mate, which I was right about. And then when my mate abducted you, a look of pain passed his eyes before he blinked them away, masking it with a smile. I mean, Genevieve. I actually realized he loved you more than I thought he could. That day, just before I came to the battlefield, I let my mate be killed with my own consent. However much I ignored it, I still felt the pain of losing her. And it wasn't pleasant. Then, when I came to the ground and saw the dagger close to hitting you, I didn't waste a minute and came before you. Why? Because I didn't want the same fate for my best friend as mine. Unlike my mate, you're a good person and perfect for Evan. So, there wasn't a reason for me not to save you. I was left speechless by the time he finished his explanation. Truly, Daniel Rodriguez has a heart of gold. A heart that didn't think twice before sacrificing itself for the sake of his best friend's happiness. A heart which cared for others. A heart that a special person should take. And I sincerely wish that you get the best partner ever for yourself, Danny. Thank you for everything, Daniel, I smiled gratefully. Before he could respond, we heard heavy footsteps approaching us, which made us look at who had interrupted our little conversation. A smile grew on my face as I saw Evan approaching us, wearing a black tuxedo that made him look like a Greek god. He had attended a meeting with the council members to discuss the various matters that had arisen. I guess the meeting went well for him, based on the smile he carried on his handsome face. I should get going, Daniel said suddenly with a knowing grin plastered on his face, which made me suspicious, as Evan stood in front of us before disappearing in a jiffy. Ugh. I'll never get used to this supernatural agility. I glanced at Evan, who was already staring at me. My cheeks warmed up instantly, and I immediately looked away. Gosh, what's wrong with me? Why am I behaving like a teenager who got to see her first crush? So, how was your day? I asked, starting a conversation while looking anywhere but at him. I felt a gush of air, and the next thing I knew, he was in front of me. He placed his hand below my chin, raising my head to look at his now chocolatey brown eyes. Why are you avoiding eye contact, my sweet? He asked, looking straight into my eyes. His gaze shifted to my lips for a fleeting moment before they were back on my eyes. Before I could reply, his lips captured mine in an ardent kiss, making me feel wobbly all of a sudden. He gripped my waist, bringing my body closer to his. He finally let go of my lips as he stared straight into my eyes. Will you marry me, Alana? I stared at him wide-eyed, surprised by his sudden proposal. I know that it's sudden. And I still don't know about your feelings. But for me, since the day I met you in the forest when you tried to kill me with that stupid stake, all I could think of was you. Then you came here. And the more I learned about you, the more I fell for you. You were in my head all the damn time. I always thought about your lovely smile, your sweet voice, and even the little banters we used to have at those times. Till the time I realized my feelings, I had already fallen hard. And now I couldn't back out. So I confessed to you, and when you asked whether I killed your parents, I didn't know what to do. I knew Stefan did it unwillingly, but I didn't want you to hate him, even if I would get hurt in the process. But that day, when I thought I had almost lost you and the dagger was close to your heart, I realized that I didn't want anything in my life more than I wanted you, even if I would have to beg you to love me back. I love you from the heart, Alana. So will you marry me and be my wife and make me the happiest man alive? He was breathless till the end of his confession. I, on the other hand, am left speechless. I could see the truthfulness in his eyes. The love in his eyes was only for me. I never knew he felt so much for me. I knew he loved me when he confessed to me that night when I broke his heart, harshly refusing his feelings, for which I still feel bad. But I never knew that this man could love me to this extent. Evan Davies always manages to surprise me. I glanced at him from the corner of my eyes, and there I saw it. There was insecurity and nervousness in his eyes as he waited for my reply. Evan and nervous? He was nervous because of me? I never thought I would see this sight. But then I also knew what I would say. However much I ignored my feelings for him, I still love him. Yeah, I love him. I'm in love with him. God, it sounds so foreign to my own ears. I realized it when I was away from him for a month. Every single day when I missed him, I realized that I had put myself in great trouble. A trouble in which I had unknowingly given my heart to the Vampire King. My mate. Yes, I said as a slow smile grew on his lips. Yes, I will marry you, Evan. I made my words clear, which made his smile grow wider. Really? He grinned ear to ear as he lifted me off the ground and twirled me around, making me giggle like a little girl. As soon as Evan put me back on the ground, a question popped into my head. But Evan, you're a vampire and I'm a human. I tried to reason out, but he didn't seem to get it. So? He asked as if I were talking nonsense. I took a deep breath. I'll probably grow old while you would still be the same. A mischievous smirk grew on his lips as he brought his lips next to my ears, sending shivers down my spine. Don't worry, my love. You'll stop aging the day we bond. Besides, I can always turn you into a vampire. Though I would always prefer the first option, he whispered huskily, making my breath hitch. I could feel my cheeks become hot as the underlying meaning of his words sank in. "I love you," he said suddenly with a bright smile on his face, putting an end to his teasing. His whole face was illuminated by the happiness that radiated from him. "I will cherish this sight forever." "I love you too, Evan." I smiled widely like a fool. "I don't remember the last time I felt so happy." "Truly?" he asked, cradling my face, searching for something within my eyes. Instead of replying, I kissed him, letting him know that I meant every single word I uttered. He smiled against our lips as he took possession of my lips, making me forget everything except for this man who owns my heart. Stefan's POV. "The lovebirds are finally together," I stated to Olivia as we looked at Evan and Alana kissing under the moonlight. "I'm so happy for them. My sister is lucky to have a caring mate like Evan. They look so lovely together," she said with a hint of happiness in her voice. "I still can't believe that Olivia and Alana are sisters for real." Olivia said that she knew about it since the day Alana mentioned her name, but she kept her mouth shut because she felt guilty, as she was there for revenge and didn't want her sister to know. Then she gave up on her revenge for a reason only she knew, and then she admitted her true identity to Alana just before she was abducted. I asked for forgiveness from both of them. Alana said it wasn't my fault, and I killed their parents due to Genevieve's black magic, but I still felt guilty. I took a glance in Olivia's direction, but regretted the moment I did that. She looked so beautiful under the moonlight, her brown eyes glinting with happiness, and her lips looked so inviting. I gulped hard. Darn it. Nowadays, it's becoming challenging for me to control my desires whenever I'm around her. All I want to do right now is to kiss her senseless and show her how much she means to me. Whoa. 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 From where did that thought come? This woman is truly going to be the end of me. Stefan. Olivia's loud voice next to my ear brought me out of my wayward thoughts. She was staring at me straight in the eyes with her beautiful brown orbs. "What's wrong with you? I have been calling you for quite a while now, but you seem to be in your own world. Lately, I have noticed that you're trying to avoid me." Her voice blurred in the background as I stared at the movement of her delectable lips as she spoke, which was so tempting at the moment. God damn it. I grabbed her face and kissed her hard on her lips, taking her by complete surprise as her eyes widened visibly. But she didn't attempt to push me away, so I kept going until I was satisfied. "What was that for?" she asked, her eyes still in a daze after our fiery kiss. "I love you, Olivia," I said, the words which I had been dying to say for a long time. She stared at me with wide eyes as if I was speaking gibberish. I almost expected her to laugh it off and reject me in the worst possible way, but she surprised me when a huge smile grew on her lips. "I love you too, Stefan," she said, smiling, and my heart jolted at her words. To hell with controlling my desires. I grabbed her face, kissing her deeply under the moonlight yet again. She wound her arms around my neck, pulling me closer while I pulled her closer by her waist. This is where she belongs. With me. Forever. 8 years later. Alana's POV. I was in the ballroom doing preparations for my 5-year-old rebellious daughter, Andrea's birthday, when I saw Stefan pulling Olivia to a corner of the room. I shook my head with a smile. These two will never change. I still remember that fateful day when Stefan broke the news about Olivia's pregnancy with so much pride, as if he were eagerly waiting for the moment to arise. I was going through the baby names for Evan and my second baby in Evan's study, where he was currently busy with some paperwork, when Stefan barged into the room without as much as a knock. He was holding Olivia's hand firmly, who looked quite flustered. Evan took his eyes off the papers and raised an eyebrow in Stefan's direction, who looked as if he was on top of the world. "We want to say something to you both," Stefan stated, getting Olivia in the front. "Go on," Evan encouraged him to continue. I gave Olivia a questioning look while her cheeks turned red as she looked anywhere but me. I have never seen Olivia so flustered. "What's the matter?" "I'm pretty curious now." Olivia began. "She's pregnant with my child," Stefan declared proudly, holding Olivia's hand, "and we both love each other. So, I wanted to inform you both that we'll be getting married by the weekend." With that, he dragged a flustered Olivia with him and exited the study, leaving both Evan and us with our mouths hanging agape. Wow. I mean, just wow, Evan broke the silence after a long moment of shock. I knew they both had something going on between them, but I didn't expect Stefan to be so fast. I mean, Stefan always behaves like a child and now he's actually going to be a father, Evan said incredulously. Yeah, even I'm shocked by the news. But still, I'm happy for them, I smiled at him. Me too, he smiled back. Really, who could have thought that these two who fought like cat and mouse all the time would end up together? Done with the preparations, my love? I smiled as I felt Evan's large hands wrap around my waist, hugging me from behind, as he rested his chin on my shoulder, taking in my scent. Yeah, except our daughter is missing on her own birthday. I put my hands on top of his, leaning my back against his chest. Our princess must be somewhere scaring everyone around her with her rebellious acts. Don't worry, she'll be fine. She has a protective brother to take care of her, he murmured against my neck, leaving sweet kisses there. I sucked in a deep breath, trying to ignore his teasing. Lucien is one fine gentleman. The exact opposite of our daughter, I said, referring to our 7-year-old son, Lucien. Just like his father. A true gentleman, he goaded, turning me around to face him. He gave me a Cheshire cat grin as he dipped his head to capture my lips. Just before our lips could meet, we were interrupted by a very familiar voice. Come on, guys, get yourself a room. There are kids around, Clara said, shutting her daughter, Elizabeth's eyes with her palms. Evan and I pulled apart quickly. A blush formed automatically on my cheeks as I muttered sorry to Clara. She winked at me with a huge grin, mouthing, I understand. Clara and Jacob had been inseparable since they reunited. Now, they also have a beautiful daughter, Elizabeth, who has her father's blonde hair and her mother's green eyes. Elizabeth is a carbon copy of her father in terms of manners. She's so well-mannered and well-spoken that sometimes I wish my daughter could be a little like her. However, she is really powerful, just like her mother, even at such a young age. Do you know where Andrea is, Lizzie? I inquired about my daughter expectantly. She stared at me for quite a while with her little green eyes before speaking. She's near the river on top of a tree. I just put a whining Dorian on top of the tree before coming here, she replied casually while I was nearly having a heart attack. Sweet Lord. When will my daughter stop being such a rebel? Sweetheart, didn't I tell you not to use your magic for such things? Clara asked her daughter, who looked back at her with confusion written all over her cute little face. Dorian, what? It was Olivia who came in front of us out of nowhere, inquiring about her son, who is the same age as my daughter. What do I do with my son? He always tries to act like a ninja and then later ends up in trouble. She sighed heavily before striding towards the door. Hey, where are you going, Olivia? It was Stefan who asked the question. To save our son from getting into trouble, Olivia huffed and walked away as I followed her out to where our kids were. Once we reached the riverbank, I spotted my daughter, who was glaring at her cousin with her hands on her hips, crying with all her might, probably because she was stuck in the tree. Will you stop crying like a child, Dorian? My little princess shouted in her oh-so-loud voice at her poor cousin. I thought we are children, Andrea. Dorian actually stopped crying as he looked at my daughter with confusion on his face. We're not children. We're big now. So stop crying like a child. And get down. Andrea said it as if it were the most logical thing in the world. Dorian obliged my daughter's order as if following his leader's order was his priority. Dorian actually believed Andrea was his mighty leader, and they were always found tagging along, getting themselves into trouble. Dorian was about to fall when he lost his footing on the last branch, but Olivia caught him in time. From the corner of my eye, I spotted Lucien leaning with his back against a tree as he had a deep frown on his cute little face. Unlike Andrea, who bore a resemblance to her father with her brunette hair and brown eyes, Lucien was a mirror image of me, with blue eyes and jet black hair, which sometimes took on a bronze hue in the sunlight. I headed towards him with a smile. What's wrong, my son? I asked once I was next to him. He looked at me as a smile grew on his face. I am glad you came, Mom. Andrea is really hard to handle sometimes. She took my promise not to leave the spot, and then she started climbing a tree. And you being you, couldn't break the promise you made to your sister while they got themselves in trouble. Am I right? I completed his narration and he nodded, agreeing to the tale. My son, I thought, Andrea is lucky to have such a caring brother. Andrea, sweetheart. It's your birthday and you need to wear that gown, I stated to my stubborn daughter, who sat on the edge of the bed pouting, with a frown on her face. But Mom, that's ridiculous. It looks so girly, she complained, pointing towards her pink birthday gown. I sighed, my daughter. Aren't you a girl? I asked my daughter like a stupid person. I am a girl, Mom. She looked at me as if I had lost my mind, but I don't want to look girly. I want to look grown up. I stared at my 5-year-old daughter. Okay, from where does she learn all this? I wonder where she got her stubborn genes. Is the red gown that Lucien gifted you fine with you? I finally gave up on insisting that she wear the pink gown. It wasn't like she would listen to me anyway. Yes, she jumped on the bed, squealing like a child. She truly is. I stood next to the drinks counter, watching my daughter as she fought with a boy of her own age. Lucien was trying to mend their fight, but suddenly Andrea took hold of the cake and smashed it on the boy's face. And there goes the cake. My eyes widened in surprise as I shook my head. I sighed. Now I will have to apologize to the boy's mother for my daughter's behavior. A smile grew on my lips as I spotted our newcomers. It was Ariel and James, along with their daughter, Camilla, and Daniel and his wife. Daniel's wife. I tried to get a better view of her. I haven't seen her, but I just heard about the fateful woman who was forced to marry Daniel as a form of punishment. My eyes widened when a familiar face came into view. Ariana. I practically shouted her name with a massive grin on my face. Her eyebrows creased as she looked around. Finally, she caught sight of me, and a slow smile grew on her face. Alana. She was next to me all of a sudden. Okay, she is a werewolf, and she sure as hell will be fast like the others. Ariana was drop-dead beautiful, with her dark blonde hair, ocean blue eyes, pale skin, and full lips. She is the daughter of a well-known noble of Iris, Mr. Peyton Crisford. He was Uncle Aaron's friend. We used to stay at their house whenever we visited Iris, and that is how I met Ariana. Ariana always had a smile on her face. One would actually mistake her for a very happy-go-lucky person, but never judge a book by its cover. She might cloak her sadness with a smile, but she had faced a lot in her life. When she was small, she found her mother in her room, having taken her own life. I don't know the reason why, because Ariana never wanted to speak about it. Then there's her father. One might think that she is a very obedient daughter who listens to everything her father says, but when you look closely, you would realize that her father treated her like a slave and ordered whatever he wished, whenever he wanted. Though she isn't Daniel's mate like many would think. In fact, from what I heard from Ariel, Ariana was forced to marry Daniel as a form of punishment for her mate. They have a somewhat twisted fate, where Ariana already has a mate who loves her, but she has been taken away from him. On the other hand, Daniel's mate, Kiana, betrayed him to be with another person. Kiana was a lovely woman. When Daniel found his mate, Kiana, he looked pleased. He loved Kiana more than anything, but she betrayed him in the worst possible way. Now, when you look at Daniel, he's no longer the sarcastic and adorable man he used to be. He now represents a cold man who doesn't care about anyone except himself and those close to him. Though he's really fond of Cammy, Ariel's little daughter. I wish he would treat Ariana well. Because I know, behind that cold exterior, there's a man with a heart of gold. And as for my friend, she needs someone who would give her the love she deserves. The same goes for Daniel. Ariana and I had a little chat while Daniel was silent the whole time with a frown on his face. After a while, Ariana left to wish Andrea on her birthday, leaving me with Daniel. You know Kiana is going to be here, right? I told Daniel, who just hummed in response, his eyes fixed on Ariana, who was currently chatting with the kids, making them laugh at something she said. Do you think it's right to bring your wife to the place where your mate would be present? Won't she feel hurt when she learns about your relation with Kiana? He briefly glanced in my direction. Ariana and my marriage is just for the sake of punishment to her mate, Alana. I don't care whatever she feels or thinks in that matter, he replied coldly. How I miss that cheerful and caring Danny. I wish Ariana could manage to bring that wonderful man back. Ariana is my friend. She had gone through a lot in her life, Danny. At least treat her with respect, I tried to explain to him in a friendly manner. He just nodded his head before asking, what do you mean by, she had gone through a lot? It's not my place to tell you that. He hummed in reply. Later that night, everyone was near the banks of Venetian waterfalls waiting for the Mystic Falls to arise, which happens once a year. The kids were on the other side of the bank, playing with each other. Evan had appointed guards around them for their safety. Even Uncle Aaron and Aunt Rochelle had come to meet us, but left some time ago since Aunt Rochelle wasn't feeling well. Daniel had left some time ago as well, following Ariana after I saw her running towards the corridor with tears in her eyes. She was absolutely fine and was even dancing with Daniel. For a moment, I actually thought Daniel was going to kiss her by how close they were while dancing, but then the stupid song ended, and she pushed him away and ran off. I hope she's okay. Stefan and Olivia were currently arguing about something. Then, all of a sudden, Stefan pulled her and kissed her squarely on her lips. After he let her go, she scowled openly in his direction and stomped off angrily, but I didn't miss the smile which threatened to form on her lips. Remember the last time we were in this place, love? I felt warm lips on my cheeks as Evan came behind me, his arms snaking around my waist. Yeah, very well. I leaned against his frame, making myself comfortable in his embrace. You apologized to me for the first time that day. I grinned at the memory when he apologized for the first time after he consoled me during my panic attack due to water. I was pretty surprised that day. I had actually wished to see the Mystic Falls again. 10, 9, 8. The countdown began as everyone waited to see the Mystic Falls that occurred once a year. 4, 3, 2. Let's do something different this time, Evan said, and when everyone shouted 1, Evan quickly turned me around and kissed me on the lips. I smiled against his lips and wound my arms around his neck, savoring this moment forever in my heart as I reminisced about all the moments between us. From the moment I met him in the forest till the day I realized my love for him and accepted his proposal. He gave me the best gifts I could ever ask for. My children, whom I love from the bottom of my heart. He made my life amazing. And now, I'm genuinely grateful to be his mate.